I want to apologize to everybody for our tardiness. We had a very lengthy discussion going on of matters of very important, and it couldn't be stopped to get here on the 6:30 time frame. So I just want to apologize to you. Okay. We will convene the regular Board of Education open session at 6:30 and adjourn the Board of Education closed session. Our Pledge of Allegiance this evening will be done by Monrovia High School, and Dr. Matthew Rainwater is here to make some introductions of some quality people who we want to.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Board President Hammond, members of the board, Superintendent Hart-Rodas, Cabinet, and members of the community. It's my honor tonight to invite up Ava Dietz from our flag football team to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand with me. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may now be seated. Thank you.
I was going to invite our head coach, Ed McCarthy, to come up and say a few words about the team. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. Coach?
Thank you, board members, fellow citizens of Monrovia, and girls flag football. I just wanted to thanks to the board and to Rainwater for allowing me to coach this first inaugural year of flag football, and say we had a interesting year and a fun one at that. But outside of that, I think we should be looking forward to having some spectacular games in the future. We have some good returners, and right now saying we have a couple of our seniors here that we want to dismiss a proper way. So thank you for the certificates that you gave to the girls today, and thank you for your support.
Dr. Rainwater and Coach, if we could get a picture with you and the girls that are here, we'd appreciate it.
Yes, can we have the girls that are present please come up? Tiffany Vance, Jason Vance, please come up with us too. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you.
Congratulations. How are you? Can half of you team members please take a knee and make a front row so that I can get a
We are all in our places except for Dr. Giroux, who is excused. He is at a conference. Report out of closed session. The board took no reportable action. Order of business. We're going to be moving action item J to A and B to right after oral communication so that you have to stay all night. You're welcome. Entertain a motion of the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Sarah, will you please call the roll?
Board Member Ocon?
Yes.
Board Member Gomez-Tagle?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
This evening, we have a very distinguished guest, Senator Sasha Renee Perez, here.
Board President Hammond?
I'm sorry.
Board President Hammond, Senator Perez is running a few minutes late.
I can stall.
Thank you.
Did you want to see the soft shoe dance and the singing and the dancing, or we'll just move on and come back? Okay. We're still going to have a distinguished guest this evening as soon as she gets here. Up next, we have board member reports.
I do, Mr. President. Thank you very much. We all know the painful legacy of separate but equal, a doctrine our nation rightly rejected in 1954 in the Brown v. Board of Education. I mention this not as a history lesson, but because I have been troubled to see echoes of that mindset surface in recent community conversations on social media around our middle school consolidation talks. Not from many voices, but from enough that I have felt both disappointed and embarrassed. Our two middle schools are equal. Funding, staffing, curriculum, access, support, our teachers and our students. What is not equal is the perception some community members continue to carry. And that perception harms children, all of them. Years ago, when we lost Dr. Zamarripa and Mrs. Scare as the principal and assistant principal at Santa Fe, it was a blow. Their leadership, their visibility, and celebration of students had begun to erase decades of unfair labeling. Doctors Green and Gelzan continued that progress, repairing damage and lifting students up with belief and care. Their work mattered because it reminded the community of what those of us inside the schools already know. Our kids are extraordinary. One of the best things I have heard during these recent consolidation discussions came from interim principal Michelle Costarella. She told me with a huge, genuine smile, "These kids are amazing. The staff has been so welcoming and the parents are so supportive." I heard the same thing years ago from Mr. Moses when he first came to be the principal at Clifton. The story is consistent, the experience is consistent, and the truth is consistent. These kids are our kids, every single one. The real challenge isn't the students. The real challenge is the outreach. Too many people in our community have not had the chance to see what we see every day. The talent, the kindness, the drive, the shared humanity of all of our students. When we bring our middle schools together, we have an opportunity to build a new narrative, but only if we are willing to do things differently. It's a hefty ask, but an essential one. I believe we must discuss new approaches to community engagement, and we should do so in partnership with our counterparts in the city government. This is not just a school issue, it's a community issue. Abraham Lincoln reminded us that a house divided against itself cannot stand. That is as true today as it ever has been. If we want to preserve what makes Monrovia strong, and if we want to build the kind of community our students deserve, then we must choose solidarity. We must choose belonging, and we must choose each other. That ends my board report.
Thank you. I have an announcement more than a report. As a sitting board member, a representative of the people in this community, a request that I made over a month ago was not fulfilled. Our primary job sitting on this dais is we're the fiduciary oversight of the citizens, placed here by the citizens to oversee this public institution. Denying a request from an elected official is denying the public access to what is rightfully theirs. A month ago, I requested information regarding the extra time that our employees use as we provide service to the people that we serve. I waited a week. I waited 2 weeks. I waited 3 weeks. The waiting became intolerable because we're going to have to make a decision about some of the information that I needed with respect to how much it cost us to run this district. That information did not come. I have done a public records request now, which is mandated by law that I get that information. The clock is ticking. And as soon as I get that information, since I've done this now in public, I'll report that information back out to the public. I think the public has a right to know how much we spend in extra hours for all of our employees. Last year, we riffed a number of people here. We caused disruption with a riff because it creates uncertainty in the workforce. It's one of the worst things that you can do to your employees is cause them grave concerns about their employment. People go to work so they can put a roof over their head, clothes on their back, and food on their table. And when you cause that to have a question about the ability to perform that, good people will leave for stability. It's the last thing you want to do is do a riff. Yet on this agenda tonight starts the groundwork for another riff. I can't tell you with any certainty that the information that we have is accurate because I can't get the information I need to know if the money that we allegedly saved last year was actually real or not. That's the reason for the public records request. I will get the information and I'll report it back out to the public. Thank you. Up next, we have our student board member report.
Thank you, President Hammond, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Hart-Rodas, members of the cabinet, and members of the Monrovia community. Good evening to you all. It's been a while since my last report, so I would like to take it back a few weeks into the month of October. To start, this year's homecoming dance was hosted on campus, and it was a huge success. Students seemed to respond very well to the occasion, considering that it was held in such a familiar venue. And with the help from several students and staff, the event was truly a night to remember. The Monday preceding homecoming, our leadership program organized what seems like the first time in forever, a Monday rally. Staff and students participated in multiple games and class competitions set a spirited tone for the rest of the week. And throughout the week, we also had a Spirit Day themed set that both staff and students took part in, which contributed to our school's overall goal of unity on campus. The Friday before our homecoming dance, Wildcat Nation held our annual Pink Out homecoming game. And despite all the competitive pressure, the stands were filled with supportive students and families. During halftime, we celebrated our homecoming royalty and honored our 2 Grand Marshals, who are dedicated Monrovia High School teachers that were recognized for their service and impact on our campus. Moving forward from the month of October, on November 7th, Monrovia hosted the first round of our football CIF playoffs, and although our team did not win, our spirit in Cat City stayed strong and we demonstrated our loyalty to the team until the very end. Winter sports have also begun. Boys and girls basketball had their opening game last night, playing against St. Monica Academy, hence why I have lost my voice slightly. The theme was whiteout for both games, and both teams blew the other team off the scoreboard. Basketball is actually very interesting to watch. I consider you guys come to one of our games. We're a really good team. Leadership is now planning our January winter dance, which will be held in our event center and will take place shortly after school returns from winter break. And to keep students connected and engaged in school, we continue to hold lunchtime activities every Friday. And looking ahead in the future, we are also planning connection weeks for days before we leave for Christmas break and for days after we return from break. Lastly, as a leadership program, we plan on attending the Monrovia Christmas Parade. If anyone in the room knows of Santa costumes that may fit our activities director, Paul Doles, please let us know. That would be greatly appreciated. We look forward to growing our involvement and commitment to our Wildcat Pride, and I thank you all for your continued support throughout this school year. That is all.
Thank you very much. Dr. Hart Rodas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Oh, sorry there. Just in case any of you hadn't heard the news yet, just one more congratulations to Dr. Povinelli as our California State Teacher of the Year. We will be honoring her at another board meeting. She's not available today. But again, we're just so proud of her for representing Monrovia so well, and Mr. Hammond couldn't have said it better when he said that now, the entire state of California now knows what we've always known about her and her work, and how wonderful she is and how impactful her work is for students.
Interrupt.
Yes.
It's now the United States knows.
This is true.
Because Congressman Censoneros read it into the congressional record today.
He did? I didn't know that. Oh, thank you, Mr. Hammond. I had no idea. Oh, that's awesome. I had no idea. Thank you for sharing that. Wow, now the whole United States knows. That's amazing. Well, she's super famous now. But now everybody knows just what we've always known for the last 25 years about just how wonderful Dr. Povinelli is. And while she's just an inspiration to all of us, and we look forward to continuing to celebrate her. They celebrated her at City Council, and we will celebrate her next month officially. But just wanted to, in case you've been living under a rock, she's California State of the Year, Teacher of the Year. Moving on, also in case you've been living under a rock, you missed an amazing show last week when Wild Rose School of Creative Arts put on Frozen Junior. I'm still singing Let It Go. They always do such a great job. I'm so proud of the team there. And remember that that is a production that's put on by the school. They do all their own costumes, they do all their own sets, they do all their own everything. And so it's one of my favorite things is that they just, it was really neat for me. I thought it was very creative. They're watching the progression of Elsa and Anna. They really brought Arendelle to life on the stage there at the Louise K. Taylor Auditorium. You missed out if you didn't go. A little bit of progress on the pool before it started raining. These are some pictures from before it started raining. There's probably some water in there now, although it's not supposed to be. Those were before we started working. Right now, the pool is on schedule for being in its final inspection in the first week of January. If weather permits and the health department doesn't set us back, we should be good for our inspection on January 2nd. This week they're preparing the water line tiles, which is, around the side that tells you where the water is. And they'll be installing those tiles. Those are crucial tile markers that we have to be CIF compliant so that we can do water polo and swimming in our pool. That's not shown here because those are before it rained. So But that's where we're at. We are on track to be ready to go for that first week of January to have our inspector clear it for inspection first week of January. Lastly, remember that all sites are going to be closed next week for the Thanksgiving holiday. And want to remind you also that we are still, it is only the 19th of November. We have got some time left. It's the season of gratitude. That's our annual celebration of all things to be thankful for. We are at 970 messages of gratitude so far. Last year we had over 1,000, so we're on track to beat it. Make sure that you can scan the QR code there. It's also in our bi-monthly newsletter, and I've emailed it out in Parent Square and to employees. I don't remember, Susan, if we put it on the website or not, but it's out there in all kinds of places. Take a moment to send a note of appreciation to a staff member. They work so hard, and this is just one small way that you can let them know how you appreciate the work that they've done. And again, like I said, we're up to 970, and we want to beat our 1,000 entries that we had last year. That is the end of my report, Ms. President. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Can I ask you a question
Yes,
about
ma'am.
one of your issues, your presentations?
Yes, ma'am.
The pool.
Yes.
I had asked that we investigate because there are companies that will basically save your pool water.
Yes. Oh, yes,
and I
you
never
did.
heard anything
We
back
did.
about
Yes, I
that.
apologize. I did, Mr. Nava. We did investigate. Do you want to share with that? We did get that back. Thank you for reminding me. He is ready to talk about that.
Good evening. We weren't able to reclaim the water, but we did dispose of it appropriately, and that's in the sewer line, so that we were able to maintain that tight timeline. That we had to just, proceed that way.
We did look into. He did look into it, though.
You did look
Yes,
into
He
it.
did. Yes.
Okay. And the reason that we didn't was time.
Yes, we were trying to keep on schedule so that we can finish prior to the new year.
So that the girls' water polo can compete for league season in their pool.
Up next is oral communication. We'll first take the folks who would like to speak on any item that is not on the agenda. Ms. Becerra, do we have any speakers?
Yes, I'd like to call Deborah Elliott to the podium, please.
Good evening, Superintendent Paula Hart-Rodas, Board Member Hammond, Board, Community. I'm here tonight again to thank you for allowing the Monrovia Community Adult School to have a ceramic sale, December the 6th, from 9 to 4 at Santa Fe Middle School. We've gained 5 new artists this year, so there's 33 artist tables there. It was a much success last time in May, and we're hoping for a bigger success. I love the smile, Paula. I'm here. I have postcards. I'm going to leave them out front. I'll leave some for you guys with Leanna. And then on a second note, I know that we have to close the middle school. Obviously, we knew that when the financials came out before. I'm hoping that if we do end up closing Santa Fe Middle School, that there's some way to provide transportation for those students to Clifton. That's a haul to walk. And those parents work, and I think those kids would have to leave at 6:45 to get to school if they had to walk from below the tracks to Clifton. So just something to think about. The next thing I want to just talk about real quick is, you know what? A raise is well deserved for this board. You guys work countless hours, you work hard, you're always here, you're always taking care of students, staff, and whatever you need. And I know the money is very small. You don't do it for the paycheck. You do it because it comes from your heart. So by all means, please give yourself a raise. Thank you.
Ms. Elliott Penzer, I have a qualifying question. I recall last year at the ceramic sale, I don't remember if it was Board Member Ocon or Board Member Gomez-Tagle, but there were lots of purchases and some great enthusiasm. Could we have maybe an extra little area for the board to store their purchases, because
Sure,
there was some extraordinary enthusiasm.
Yes, and it was well deserved. The artist they were very happy that all the board members were there, and the superintendent was there. It was a big to-do that you guys were there.
We all enjoyed it.
If there's going to be a table at the front.
I was just kidding. I
know.
just wanted to.
Well, just be sure
acknowledge.
you come with your money. Thank you.
I just wanted to say I'm definitely looking forward to this event. I bought some very gorgeous pieces in May, so these artists are outstanding, and I encourage everyone to attend if they can.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
There are no further public comments for items not on the agenda.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments for items on the agenda?
Yes, I would like to first call Christina Bragg to the podium.
I'm sorry, I did not hear the name.
Sorry, Christina Bragg.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Well, I came here not knowing that the consolidation results were already presented. So I just wanted to make a case on behalf of keeping Clifton open, considering the space it holds. It looks like that's the determination that was made, so I don't know how much I need to actually. It's not made? Oh, that's just what the consolidation report suggests? Is that, okay.
It would be the recommendation. There will
Okay.
not be until after we vote.
Okay, apologies. Well,
That's okay.
I would further that recommendation because of the location, and trying to keep the enrollment for all the people who are, as you could tell from the report, closer to the building, and having it as a part of the city center and a representation of it's like close to the high school and close to most of the school buildings that other kids would be coming from. I have a hard time understanding why we would want to remove such a institution of our city center and then not be able to use it in such a way that would invite youth and families to enjoy such a center of the city, which is already, captivated in that way. So that's all my recommendation.
I would like to call Nancy Gonzalez to the podium.
Good evening. Thank you, Board President Hammond, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Hart-Rodas, cabinet, and members of the community. My name is Nancy Gonzalez. I am the community liaison at Santa Fe Middle School, and I also have a student at Clifton Middle School that's in 7th grade. So myself and my family will be affected by the consolidation in more ways than one. So I'm here today to talk about the importance of transportation for our middle schools. It doesn't matter which middle school remains open, and I wrote this before I saw the recommendation tonight. So for the 2026-2027 school year, I know that the recommendation has been made and the final decision will be announced next month. Regardless of the final decision, our middle schools will need to secure transportation to make sure that our students can get to school on time, get home safely, and participate in after-school activities. It would be a shame if transportation is the reason our students are not able to partake. I have worked at a school for many years in the past where lack of transportation limited students' abilities to participate in productions or any other kind of activity, even field trips at times. I also feel that attendance would be impacted if transportation is not seen as a priority for our students next year. I went to all the board meetings and we heard different things. Sometimes it was said that transportation was going to be secure. Other times in the online meetings, it was said that, well, it's only a 1.5 mile walk. I used to walk all the way up there as a child, and it was a hard walk. In the rain, it was cold. We were trying to build a new community, and we want to show our students that they're supported. I know that if we all work together to make sure that all middle school students have an equal opportunity to be involved, engaged, and that's going to help build our school culture. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
You're doing fine.
Thank you. My colleagues and I, based on what I read tonight, will continue to show up for our students. It won't matter what campus we will be at. We're going to be there to support our students and our families. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no further public comments for items on the open session agenda.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the board on any item that is on or off the agenda?
Is that working? My name is Joe Capocia. Sorry, I wasn't planning on Joe Capocia. I have two students at Monroe Elementary right now. I wasn't planning on speaking, so forgive me. Just there was two items that were brought up about considering transportation, and I just want to remind the board that Monrovia is reviewing its bike master plan. So I know it wouldn't solve all of our problems for transportation, but it's one of a number of options that I think we could offer our students, and it's funded by the city. So just kind of want to get the word out that if we have strong, safe bike lanes to schools, it would relieve the burden on some parents and potentially the city for buses and so forth. So just kind of throwing that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the board on any item on or off the agenda? Seeing and hearing no one, we will close the public comment period. We were going to move and take you, Jeannie, if you can. We would like to have Senator Perez come up and introduce herself to our community. Presentation.
Great, thank you all. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here tonight. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Senator Sasha Renee Perez. I represent the 25th Senate District, and it's really an honor to get to represent the city of Monrovia and Monrovia Unified School District. I represent over 19 cities and 15 different school districts, and it is great to get to work with each and every single one of you. Tonight, I'm going to be providing a legislative update that'll be highlighting some of the major actions that we took as a state around education, as well as some of my specific work that I've led in the legislation that we've passed. And after that, would be happy to answer any questions, hear any comments that you all might have, especially as we look at legislation for next year. I did provide a slide deck, so I'm not sure if someone is able to bring that up. Excellent. Great. And if we could move to the next slide. So I am very honored to be able to serve as the chair of the Senate Education Committee. I serve in that role that covers both K through 12 education as well as higher education. In the Assembly, those are two separate committees. In the Senate, they are one committee. We are one of the third highest volume committees. We saw over 170 bills come through our committee this year. In addition to that, I serve on the Budget Subcommittee for Education. We oversee all of our education dollars in the state for both our K through 12 system, like Prop 98 funds, as well as money for the CSU, the UC, and our community college system. I also serve on Senate Budget, the Environmental Quality Community, Human Services, Public Safety, and the Joint Committee on the Arts, as well as the Affordability Work Group. I have several Senate appointments, and I apologize that this is, it's running off the page, but the number of appointments that I serve on are in my role as Senate Education Chairs. One of the most important appointments that I have is serving on the State Allocation Board. If all of you remember voting on Prop 2 last year, that is funding that goes towards our local school districts for funding for improving our infrastructure. It became very important dollars for us to utilize following the fires. And one of my first votes as a member of that commission was expediting that funding to go towards the schools that were impacted by the fires. Great. Awesome. Next up, as I mentioned before, we had a number of bills that came through Senate Ed. We are very much a high-volume committee. I take great pride in sitting down and reading every single bill that comes through our committee. We heard 150 of those bills. 15 of them are placed onto a two-year track period. That two-year period is for those bills that need additional time for amendments. There's some bills that aren't ready quite yet to be heard in committee, and so we'll be hearing them in this upcoming year. And our committee really covers a whole host of issues, like I mentioned before, K through 12 education, higher education, and anything related to our certified education personnel in the state of California. We touched on a number of items this year and discussed a number of topics within Senate Ed. As you could probably imagine, in response to some of the actions that we've seen from the federal administration, particularly around immigration enforcement, we've had lots of discussion about how we respond to immigration enforcement happening at or around school sites. There's been lots of discussion around childhood hunger, and especially as of recently, around SNAP benefits, schools, facilities, teacher credentialing, curriculum issues, childcare, special education, mental health services. And so we really do cover a whole host of topics in Senate Education. If you could go to the next slide. I want to highlight some of the work that I've led myself. This is one of the bills that I introduced, SB 98, the Sending Alerts to Families in Education Act, also known as the SAFE Act. This was a bill that I was very happy to be able to lead in partnership with students. The bill was actually written by undocumented students from our University of California system. SB 98 had urgency language, so it has already gone into effect and is now officially law. It requires that any K through 12 institution, as well as any of our higher education institutions, immediately notify students, families, as well as staff and teachers if immigration enforcement is on or near campus. This became incredibly important because as we saw reports of immigration enforcement officers approaching schools, families wanted to know what the notification policy was going to be for those local school districts. So making sure that we had one uniform policy for the entire state was really critical. In addition to that, as I mentioned before, this has urgency language in it, so you all probably received notice to update your school safety plans to include this policy within your policy, and also allows school districts to utilize whatever notification systems you have in place already. So whether that be phone calls, whether that be email systems, we don't want to create something new. We want you all to utilize whatever systems you already have in place. If we could go to the next slide. The second bill I'd like to discuss is SB 848. That's the Safe Learning Environments Act. This was another bill that I was very proud to have signed into law. Some of you may be familiar with what we refer to at the state level as AB 218 cases. AB 218 was a bill that opened up the ability for survivors of sexual assault and sexual violence to be able to file lawsuits against public agencies. It opened up that period up to the age of 40. And so what we have seen is a number of survivors of sexual assault and sexual violence have come forward and filed suits against school districts. This has caused a huge and significant impact for school districts. It's cost the state, and particularly school districts, almost $3 billion over the years since AB 218 has passed. In response, the state's agency, FICMAP, produced a report analyzing some of the fiscal impacts that this has had on school districts, but they also provided a set of recommendations and policies that the state needed to implement in order to close gaps that currently exist within child safety, and really allowing for school districts to better be informed about whether or not an employee that they are hiring is currently under investigation for egregious misconduct. What my bill does is creates a statewide database system that local school districts can use to know whether or not the employee that they're hiring hiring is currently under investigation by another school district, so they do not mistakenly hire that person and potentially cause more harm to other students. In addition to that, it also requires that schools will now need to talk with students and provide them with information about identifying inappropriate relationships and inappropriate behaviors, so that if a student does experience something like this, they understand that it is not okay and they know who they are supposed to report it to within the school district. I also want to mention just some of our legislative actions, those that weren't successful. SB 411, the Stop Child Hunger Act. This is a bill that sought to build upon our Sunbucks program that we have here in the state of California. Sunbucks is a program that we have in partnership with the federal government. And although SB 411 was not signed into law, we were very happy that the governor took part of the bill and actually placed it into the budget. The Sunbucks program can now be applied and utilized for school districts to provide school time meals when school is out of session. That means that our low-income families are able to gain access to food, have a hot meal during those summertime months. In addition to that, it'll create a program to provide grocery assistance for low-income families to provide that additional assistance while school is out. The other part of my bill that unfortunately was not funded and was not included in this year's budget, and why the bill was ultimately vetoed, created an online application system for students and families to apply for the free lunch meals program. We know so many of our school districts automatically provide free lunch to students and to families without asking those questions. And so we know that many of our school districts actually deserve more money than what they're currently getting. As many of you know, the application is still a paper application system. It's quite outdated. It's been a sheet of paper since I was in elementary school. And it's really about time that we create an online system for parents to utilize. And so we look forward to pursuing this in further years to make sure that we are having everybody sign up for this program so that they know whether or not they are eligible for free lunch. And then also wanted to discuss SB 845. This is the High School Youth Apprenticeship Act, another important bill that we were happy to bring forward. This is a bill that's been placed on a 2-year cycle, so it is currently in the Assembly Education Committee. And it was really meant to create apprenticeship programs, particularly for students that are graduating and coming out of their senior year of high school. We know that college is an important opportunity for so many of our students, but there are other students that are looking for opportunities to go directly into the workforce, that are looking for an apprenticeship opportunity, something other than college as an option. And we want to make sure that that is clearly defined for students. This bill is based off of recommendations that came out of the California Youth Apprenticeship Committee and some of the guidelines that they recommended for us to further build out apprenticeship programs. So we're really excited to be pursuing this and continuing the work on this bill come next year. I want to take a moment to highlight some of the bills that I had an opportunity to partner with my colleagues on, and part of how we do that is by co-authoring one another's bills. I was a co-author on Assemblymember Almar Suchi's bill, AB 49, the California Safe Haven Schools and Child Care Act. This is a bill that requires that immigration enforcement, who is operating and trying to come onto a school campus or a child care center, must provide a warrant signed by a judge in order to access a school site. This is a question and concern that came up after we heard reports that immigration enforcement tried to access to LAUSD schools. And so we wanted to make it very clear in state law that somebody could not just arrive and request to speak to a student. It also prohibits immigration enforcement from receiving any information and the release of information of a student, family, or staff member without a valid court order. In addition to that, I was a co-author on AB 1264, which was a bill by Assemblymember Jesse Gabriel, the Real Food and Healthy Kids Act. This is a bill that aimed to address ultra-processed foods and reduce and flag ultra-processed foods that are currently in children's meals. We want to move away from using ultra-processed foods. Sometimes we refer to this as UPFs. We know that studies have found that ultra-processed foods are linked to cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, as well as mental health illnesses resources as well. And so the state is going to be working on the First in a Nation program to identify what is an ultra-processed food and to begin moving that out of children's meals here in the state of California. A couple of other bills I'd like to talk about. SB 638 by Senator Steve Padilla. I was also a co-author on this as well, the California Middle Class Pipeline Project. This is a bill that creates a coordinating body between our K through 12 and higher education systems and community college systems so that folks are talking to one another in the education realm, but also connects those education institutions to much of our career technical education that we have here in the state, as well as to workforce, so that we have one clear pipeline. We've already created the cradle to career data system so that we could better monitor how students are moving through our education systems. Are they getting to the careers that they dream of? And if they're not, and data shows that, we need to begin to work to address that. In addition to that, I was also a co-author on SB 640 by Senator Christopher Cabaldon, the Public Post-Secondary Education Enrollment Act. This is a bill that will make it so that any student that automatically meets the requirements to be eligible to a CSU will receive admission into that CSU. They'll receive a letter in the mail letting them know that they've met the minimum requirements to be eligible to a CSU and offering them admission. The goal of this is to try to encourage more of our students to go on to college and to university rather than expecting, especially for families that have never attended a college or university, to navigate that application process. We want to make that as seamless as possible. I want to take a moment just to talk a little bit about our state budget. I'm sure as many of you heard, we were facing some pretty significant fiscal challenges this year as a state, but my priority, given that I am the chair of education as well as the budget subcommittee chair for education, is to make sure that education is not impacted by cuts. We were very successful in doing that this year. Both our K through 12 budget as well as our higher education budgets did not receive any cuts this year. We were actually the only sector that did not face cuts this year, which was a very, very significant win. I want to recognize that although we didn't face any cuts, that I've heard directly from so many of our school leaders that you all need more resources. And so I recognize that it's a small win and we still need to continue to work on addressing some of the fiscal challenges that many of our local districts are facing. We revised the Prop 98 guarantee for TK through 14 to $98.5 billion in 23-24, $119.9 billion in 24 and 25, and $114.6 billion in 25-26. We also increased funding for charter schools and school districts, LCFF, by $2.1 billion and reflected some of the declining enrollment that in our school districts have been seeing, universal TK enrollment, and a 2.3% COLA increase in 25 and 26. I'd mentioned the Sunbucks program a little bit earlier and some of what those cash incentives will look like. That cash incentive, particularly for groceries, will be $120 per child during the summer months that families will be able to receive through Sunbucks. That will be very significant, in addition to them being able, and our schools being able to receive funding to provide summertime meals when school is out of session. In addition to that, my team championed a one-time $20 million investment towards mental health services. We know how critical that is for our students. So many of our students have been facing mental health challenges coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic and now dealing with much of what they are seeing online related to immigration enforcement. And so we want to ensure that our school districts have more resources to be able to respond to the growing needs of our young people, and we're meeting some of those mental health challenges. I want to take a moment to just talk a little bit about some of the work that we did around the fire and fire recovery. I represent the entire community of Altadena, Pasadena, as well as the San Gabriel Mountains. And so the area that was hit by the Eaton fires falls entirely in Senate District 25. And so it has really been my priority to make sure that we are taking care of our school districts that have been impacted by the fires, making sure that school districts that have lost enrollment, such as Pasadena Unified School District and Los Angeles Unified School District, that they're not suffering financial loss as a result of lost ADA. way, but that we're also giving additional resources to those school districts that have stepped up. I'm sure Monrovia Unified has enrolled some of those students that have been displaced temporarily by the fires, and I know so many of my other school districts in the region have had to step in that way to be supportive to families that have been impacted by these fires. And so making sure that we're providing that financial resource has been really, really critical. In addition to that, as I mentioned before, serving on the state allocation board, we're very happy to be able to expedite some of that funding for the rebuilding of those schools that were lost in Altadena and in the Los Angeles area, to make sure that we're expediting that. I've talked directly to students. I've talked directly to many of the families that have been impacted by these fires. And as you could probably imagine, kids are just eager to get back to school, to get to see their friends, and making sure that we're doing that in a timely fashion so we can get them back to a sense of normalcy is very, very important to me. As I mentioned before, we did a very good job of avoiding major cuts up to our K through 12 and our higher education budget. We were facing 8% cuts for the UC, the CSU, and the community college system, all of which we were able to stop through negotiations. And instead, we saw 3% base deferral of $129.7 million for the UC and a 3% base deferral of $96.3 million for the CSU. Both of which I think were really a result of our negotiations. In addition to that, we were able to secure more funding for the middle class scholarship program. We know that that's a program that's very significant. It is a program that I utilized while I was in college, and that provides a guaranteed grant award level of 35% of unmet financial need for students. So it was really important for us to be able to move that forward. We have a number of issues we're going to continue to be analyzing in this upcoming year. One of the challenges I think we're continuing to assess in education is really the continued impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, not just on learning recovery, but also on rebuilding some of those connections with families. We know that student well-being is still recovering. I talk to young people all the time that are still struggling with feelings of anxiety, wanting to feel more of a community on their campus, and making sure that we're providing you all with the support so that you're able to build that is really crucial. Chronic absenteeism has been a huge issue all across the state, and we've begun to see it decrease. This is a very big priority for the state superintendent, Tony Thurmond. He released a set of guidelines and recommendations to improve upon chronic absenteeism, and it continues to be something that we will work on in the upcoming year. We know that this has now also been impacted by increasing immigration enforcement. I know many families even have reached out to our office concerned about sending their kids to school. We're hoping that SB 98 can help with providing some confidence there in terms of what will happen should immigration enforcement arrive onto campus. But we want to continue to obviously see our students attend school. We know that that has an impact on their learning when they're not able to be in attendance. And so making sure that families feel comfortable and confident sending their children to school is a top priority for us. As I've been mentioning, federal actions are something that we're continuing to navigate, not just the impacts of those policies, but ultimately the impacts of some of their budgetary decisions as well, and the ripple effects that then has in our school districts. There's been lots of discussion at the state level, and I'm sure you've heard many discussions about how we navigate some of the funding lost and the overall financial impacts that some of the federal actions will have for us here in California, how we can backfill some of that funding. Those are all discussions that we'll continue to have. And there's also educator workforce challenges as well. We know it's getting harder and harder to identify new teachers, retain those teachers. We know that many teachers retired during the COVID pandemic, and making sure that you all have the resources that you need to attract that talented workforce is a huge priority for us as well. Other things I would like to talk about, the ethnic studies graduation mandate was something that we passed many years ago. It still has not been funded. There are schools that have gone to implementation despite us not funding that initiative yet, but we are beginning to have discussions about how we can get that funded to make sure that you all have the resources for implementation. In addition to that, we've continued to have discussions around fiscal stability of Prop 98. This discussion around moving away from ADA and moving towards enrollment, I think, is something that we all continue to discuss at the state. My predecessor, Senator Portantino, had previously moved legislation forward on that front. I know it's not been successful because the governor has expressed a desire to see us resolve that through the budget. It's certainly a huge interest for me because I recognize moving away from ADA to funding schools based off of enrollment would allow for a more steady stream and predictable stream of funding. It is also very unusual that we still fund our schools based off ADA. Most states do not fund schools in this way, so I think it's important for us to start moving away from doing that. And we are going to continue the implementation of our Universal School Meals program. We're trying to continue to build on that. That's what you see with the Sunbucks program, us expanding into summertime school meals and wanting to continue to make sure we're taking care of the whole child. This is a big priority for us at the legislature. And that is it. I will go ahead and take any questions that you all might have. And yeah, look forward to hearing your feedback.
Anyone have any questions?
Hi, Senator Perez. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for your great overview. A lot of bills I was aware of and some that I was not, so thank you. It was good information for us and for the public. I also want to thank you for your service, and I know this has been a heck of a year for you, and you've been highly visible and pretty much everywhere when it comes to the needs of Pasadena and the Eaton Fire and Altadena and everything. So I want to commend you for your service and everything you've been doing, not just on the education side, but here in our own backyard in San Gabriel Valley. At the end there, you touched on something that's super important to all districts. You know, we're one of the districts experiencing declining enrollment. In fact, later on the agenda, we're going to be discussing consolidation of our 2 middle schools because of declining enrollment. The change of funding mechanism here in California is critical. And I'm not sure why the governor has been against hearing other ways to fund public education. But all eyes on those governors that are running to see who's going to support fixing the funding problem here in California. So I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Yeah, I concur with Maritza Travanti. I just want to thank you so much for your presence here. Some of my colleagues know this, some members of the community know this. I serve as board secretary for the Eden Fire Collaborative, and we are one of the largest coalitions that are planning long-term recovery, and Senator Perez has been a steadfast ally of that work. And I often share she showed up for a press conference on her birthday that we were having, and so it means a lot that you stepped in that way and have been serving our community in the midst of so many different challenges that we're all experiencing. So I just also wanted to acknowledge this conversation about ADA to enrollment-based funding is extremely important, and it's also an equity issue. Campuses and school sites that are struggling with their ADA are often the ones that need the resources the most to ensure that we correct any issues, any obstacles that are preventing students from attending school. So I just want to thank you for your advocacy on that. And acknowledge, speaking for myself and I imagine my colleagues, that we are here to support you as you head into your next legislative session, whatever that looks like. Spencer is an amazing advocate and representative of you in this community, so we look forward to staying in touch with her as you start to build out your priorities for the next session. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And Spencer takes great pride getting to work with you all here in Monrovia. And so, please feel free to reach out to our office anytime. The enrollment-based funding issue is a really huge priority for us. I've been meeting with leaders, not just in my district, but all across the state of California. And this is the #1 priority for them. It is a huge impact to see enrollment declining for so many school districts across the state. And so it is unfortunate to hear about the conversation you're having this evening. Unfortunately, I would say that this is not the first time that I've heard that. There are so many school districts that are having this very conversation as we're continuing to see a loss of enrollment. So, yes.
Thank you very much for being here.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're going to. You know, typically you're not that quiet. I would have missed you. I'm so sorry. Celine.
Again, thank you so much for being here, Senator, this evening. You mentioned Senate Bill 640 about the Cal State admittance. Thank you so much for that. That's it's something that's very important to this board and very important to this district is life beyond high school, and so being able to attend college and having that concern lifted is something that's really uplifts our students, and it's something very positive for our community. I'd like you to touch briefly on what discussion you have made about how that new implementation is going to affect housing. Because housing for incoming students and for all students at the college level, at all colleges, not just CSUs, not just Cal States, is a serious issue. There are very few universities where housing for students is guaranteed beyond freshman year, and for some, if at all. I know I just visited with one of my daughters, Cal State Chico, just last week, and it's not guaranteed at all. And so then there's that stress, right back in. It just, washes right back in, is how you have to get into the queue and get into the list and how you're going to get housing and how you're going to be able to afford housing. So please talk to us about how you can support getting housing for our students as well as admission into the universities.
Yeah, so, part of the reason why we moved forward SB 640 is because in addition to you all seeing declining enrollment here at local school districts, we are also now seeing declining enrollment at the CSU system as well as the UC system. This is something, unfortunately, that we saw coming for many years based off of enrollment trends within our K through 12 system, and we're now beginning to feel the impacts of that. And so we have several institutions such as Sonoma State who are facing enrollment challenges. They don't have many students enrolling in their university and actually have many empty housing units. And then you have other institutions such as Chico State where they have impacted housing. And so what the CSU is doing is making investments towards looking at where they need to expand housing. And we've also moved forward legislation to streamline the housing process, particularly for our CSU, UC, and community college institutions who are interested in building housing so that they are not having to jump through so many hoops and hurdles to get that housing built. But our goal ultimately is to address some of those admission issues by making sure that students who do qualify to be enrolled in a CSU know and make the choice to actually go, because many students choose to not even apply without realizing that they very much meet the requirements to be eligible to a CSU campus. So I hope that's helpful in just some of the work that's been happening. It's being approached by our CSU system on a school-by-school basis because each campus is facing a very different challenge.
Thank you very much for being here. Yeah, we have a little something for you, and maybe get a picture of proof that you came. Okay, we are going to move up item J2A. This is a public hearing. It's a public hearing to reappoint Jeannie Tyler to the Personnel Commission. I will open the public hearing at 7. Anyone wishing to speak to the board on? I'm sorry, 7:50. 7:50. 7:50. Okay, we'll call it 7:50. We'll use Samsung time. 7:50. Anyone wishing to speak to the board on this matter? At 7:50. Up next, we'll have the reappointment of Jeannie Tyler to the Personnel Commission.
The Board of Education is requested to announce the reappointment of Jeannie Tyler to the Personnel Commission for a 3-year term beginning December 1st, 2025. Ms. Tyler has served as CSEA's appointee to the Personnel Commission since December 1st, 2001. Ms. Tyler, yes, hold on. I have a lot more to say about wonderful Ms. Tyler. Ms. Tyler has indicated a willingness to serve. Don't facepalm, Jeannie. We're excited about this. Has a willingness to serve another term. She is, again, the CSEA appointee to the Personnel Commission since 2001. She is dedicated to supporting classified staff and upholding the merit system principles. She's a parent of 4 Monrovia students and understands the employee impact on student growth. She approaches commission work with integrity, fairness, and professionalism. She promotes transparency, accountability, and trust in all commission decisions. She is a long-standing advocate for fairness and equity and embodies the highest standards of public service. President?
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Pacero, will you please call the roll?
Board Member Ocon?
Yes.
Board Member Gomez-Tagle?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Very much. Welcome, Jeannie. And with that, we will take a 10-minute recess.
Can we take a picture? Because we have some flowers for
Oh,
her.
yeah, okay. We'll do that.
And then take a recess.
Okay. 30. Good? Good? We'll resume our meeting and you could have done that before I just gavelled back in. Tell everybody that thing, Celine. If you can't have a little fun at a board meeting. We're taking up staff presentations, and the first one is the overview of intervention programs. And Mr. Moses is giving the staff report.
Right. Good evening. Thank you, Board President Hammond, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Hart-Rodas, Cabinet, members of the community, and our staff this evening for being here. Thank you so much. It's my honor to stand here tonight, and I look forward to giving you just a glimpse into what we oversee with our intervention programs, what our interventionists and our coaches provide for our school sites. So this is my honor to do this tonight. Oh, thank you. Our current interventions, as you see, we work together on this, and I will give a shout out a little later, but our current interventions that we know today started back in 2016, focusing on basically 4th and 5th grade students, and that's when measurements came in using iReady to start looking at data. And as we started noticing different data points and needs among students, the program has continued to grow. And it still remains data driven, but as we've seen needs grow, we have to this day now added additional support in mathematics as well as English language arts at all of our elementaries, and continue to look at ways to build out how we support our students in the classrooms at each of our sites. Am I doing this right? Point it that way. This isn't like my
Mr.
remote
Moses,
control at home. Yes.
Is it on? Can you make sure it's on? It might not be.
Let's
Like you'll see a little red button on the side.
Oh, there it is. Let's see.
It's okay. I will do it.
It shows red. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's why my wife hides the remote control, folks. Sorry, honey. So just a profile of our interventionists. It's truly a support system that addresses the needs of many of our struggling learners. And so it's a school-wide program that addresses all of our grade levels within our elementaries, and we continue to look at models of how we can move this up into our secondary, which is a different approach, but for now we're focusing on what we do in elementary, okay? So our interventionists have established clear framework of what their goals are. So they adhere to these goals. They have a clear vision that they've established together, knowing moving forward, this is what we are committed to. And every meeting is set, as our interventionists meet consistently, that norms are set when they meet, and these are the norms that they adhere to when they come together. So we have a semblance of order, understanding, goal setting, and moving forward. Thank you. In part, you'll see this term on a consistent basis as we continue to look at interventions. MTMDSS is a term, it's a multi-tiered, multi-domain system of support, and our interventionists, but our coaches, our psychologists, our administration, our outreach, our counselors, all come from the framework of looking at multi-tiered systems of support, but also the domains indicate how are we looking at attendance, how are we looking at behavior, how are we looking at social emotional, how are we looking at behavior and engagement with the students as well. And then matching what type of interventions do we have, what kind of interventions do we need, and how we can seek to expand those or improve those as well. Okay? And so through this, this is just gives you an idea of the systems in place involving what our interventionists work within. And so current systems in place to identify, intervene, and provide ongoing monitoring for our students. So we have ongoing meetings, we have consistent meetings with ongoing feedback, with reflections back, with follow-up, what they provide, whether it's small group interventions or individual interventions, finding and pairing support and wraparound services as needed. So basically it's the approach from what do we need, what can we find, and how can we pair this need with what can be provided to support the students. All right. And so interventionists, as you see, it's one really small group to practice to reach all students. These folks come together, they share collaboratively from each of the sites, and they share out what their strategies and practices that they're doing with each other. And so, and again, this year we have the addition of math, so these teams come together to really just focus on what are the strategies that are working at perhaps your site, and we can take those with us and expand those, still while maintaining consistency across the board for all of our interventions. So part of this too is professional learning communities, and one of those is that our interventionists are an integral part of when our general classroom teachers come together. What do the interventionists bring to the table to provide during that PLC? They bring the data, they bring the support for what they can provide, they bring the students together that they start to talk about and understand this is a collective group of students that desperately need this type of help. And so they work directly with the classroom teachers. They come together in their PLCs. This is where they discuss the data. This is where they discuss the student achievement, the student challenges, and then they work together to go forth and support the general ed teachers and then also the students themselves in small groups and individualized. And so this slide I would like to take a minute because I would like to thank our team tonight. So our district coaching team, and we have a very small team tonight, but this evening I'd like to thank Karen Harvey Jarrett, who Valerie Shea, Maria Lomelin, Derek Ong, Letty Garcia Insped, and Kara Reyes are our coaching team, and we have them in some of them in the audience tonight, and at each of our sites they're indicated here. And I'd like to thank the interventionists, Aaron Eiler, Ali Miller-Sordoff, Monica Hernandez, Susanna Ravelis, Mitzi Avila, Raylan Roland, Emily Gray, Kim Giroux, Eileen Pertel, and Gladys Inda. I have come in this new role to become an integral part of this group, and I appreciate them greatly for all that they do, teaching me a lot as we move along as a conduit to directly to the classroom and pointing me in the direction of where we need a little more support, and I appreciate it greatly. And so these are just some examples of what interventionists use for intervention pieces in the elementary or in the primary levels, some of the monitoring tools that we have. This is not all that we use. This is clearly not a comprehensive list, but these are just some examples of where we do with emergent language, understanding numbers. If you go on to the next one, you'll see the mathematics piece as well with our mathematics overview. And so, as you see Eureka up there, we have been doing a lot of training with Eureka with our classrooms to support our teachers, and we just recently started the Eureka component that addresses intervention and supports students in need in intervention and in special education and special needs learning. And so we can go through these, but if you just glance at these are comments that have been shared that we asked, our team asked to share out from our staff, from our students, and from our families, how they feel about being in intervention. And our goal is that intervention is not somewhere kids go and they're just pulled out. It's an integral part of being a collective. And every student knows that what we're doing is giving an ability to keep up and surpass all of our colleagues, all of our peers, just like it would be on a professional sports team when you need a little more practice to stay up with the team. And that's why we're here to get you there. And also the goal is over time, not to be an intervention as we move forward. And so those are some of our main goals. And I just I wish I could stay longer. One of the second graders said, and the kids, having seen some of these days and moments and groups, they truly appreciate what they're doing and what's going on, and our interventionists in particular provide a smiling face, a warm environment, and support is needed even in the realm of that nurturing piece, even if the kids aren't there for that. They truly appreciate it. All right, and I have a brief video. I'll be quiet. It's only 4 minutes, so please enjoy.
The intervention programs in Monrovia Unified support 70 to 90 students at each site daily in reading and math instruction. They support students through small group intervention. Some are in-class intervention where they push into classrooms, and some are interventions that are pull out of the classroom. The intervention team is extremely dedicated in their support of a coherent, data-driven system of school-wide support. And alongside teachers and each other, they monitor progress, they support class interventions, they individualize instruction, and they make their own interventions a time where students are engaged in instruction and feel supported in their individualized needs. Every lesson in this program is built with purpose. Interventionists use research-based strategies and carefully selected materials designed to target essential literacy and math skills. Instruction is structured, systematic, and guided by evidence of what works. The ultimate goal is to accelerate growth, helping students develop the competence and skills they need for long-term success.
I know I don't really like doing math, but when you turn it into a game, it's pretty fun. T-R-I-M-E, only factors are 1 and me, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11.
I'm trying.
T-R-I-M-E,
only factors are 1 and me.
These are the blocks that we usually count, and we use them to count by up or down or less because we only have 5 and 5 fingers, so we need the blocks to help us, and that really helps me a lot. But now I feel more confident in my division and my time.
47. I'm trying. P-R-I-M-E, only factors
At the
are
heart
1
of this work is an incredible team of compassionate, highly skilled educators who create spaces where students feel safe to take risks, make mistakes, grow. Each teacher's positivity and care turns intervention into more than extra support. It becomes a place of belonging. This team celebrates every bit of progress. They've created a culture where learning is joyful, growth is visible, and students feel proud of their achievements.
Prime numbers.
10, 20, 30, 40, 41, 42, 43, and
I'm in math intervention, and I feel like that helped me with a lot of multiplying, dividing, or even like fractions.
At the first, I didn't really like reading, but now I really like reading a lot. Now I can read books all by myself now, and I'm really happy that I can do that.
When I first started coming here, there was words that I didn't know, but she helped me improve on those words, and then I got better and better until I was able to read the word.
That's the kind of trying to help me. Sam has a hat. It is a tan hat.
Intervention has been an integral part of my classroom in the last couple of years. I have noticed that my students have grown academically in their reading, in their Spanish, in their math abilities. And not only have they grown in those foundational skills, but they've also grown in their confidence.
The impact of MUSD's intervention program is unmistakable. Students look forward to coming to intervention. They're proud of the success that they make. Thanks to the professionals at every site, this district-wide program instills something truly lasting: confidence, love of learning, and the readiness to take on new challenges.
We love intervention!
Thank you. No actors were paid for that, by the way. I just want to be honest. I've presented data to you before, and this is the first opportunity that I had to actually put those numbers to the faces and what goes on. And yes, there will be data coming, but we really wanted to give you just a snapshot of our hard-working folks. And that video, I will credit now. I said I would do this. The Karen Harvey Jarrett production company, her home and children helped put that together. I said, how are we going to show everything that our interventionists do? And she said, why don't we do a movie? And so thank you very much for that. I greatly appreciate it. And all of the interventionists contributed to that, as did the kids. So what is next? We continue to improve and adapt our supports and systems. We continue to build and sustain intervention programs. We continue to meaningfully and strategically disaggregate that data, look at it, how is it affecting our students, how can we improve that, both on a longitudinal way, but also annually, and then granularly when we look at even weekly assessments and quizzes, and always monitoring how our students doing. And we will continue to build in that MTMDSS framework at all of our school sites, which we have been approaching and teaching and working with our counseling, administration, psychology teams, and coming together to provide that service for all of our students. So I thank you for your time this evening, and if you have any questions or comments, I appreciate it.
Any comments to Mr. Moses?
Testing. Okay, it is on. Hi, Mr. Moses. Thank you very much for your presentation. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and the video was just a bonus. The testimonials were awesome. Thank you very much, and thank you to your team. Really some great work happening in the district. I do have a question. We focus with intervention at the elementary schools, but I'm really glad that we have sixth graders staying back now at elementary school. It gives us one more year, for interventions before they move on to middle school. But what does intervention look like at the middle school or secondary school level?
Let's see. Okay, thank you for asking, because this is something that weighs on us, because it's like putting a puzzle together. It's not as easy in secondary because you have sections and periods. And so we are looking at different methods of how we can do that, such as we have worked with our middle schools and high school for providing tutoring at lunchtime. We have avid folks coming in. We have adults now who are able to come in and provide that time after the bell and throughout the day. We've also worked to develop sections that provide intervention now, but it takes developing that class and deciding what that looks like. And so sometimes it's starting a class where a teacher does not necessarily have a roster, and you have to look at where the students would earn their way into having to meet this intervention. And we're still working on defining what that's going to look like and what that implementation piece will be. It requires bodies, but we know what the framework would be as well. I will say that, like, our Derek Ong, our math coach, has been working feverishly together with us to really build a framework for how can we provide those interventions, particularly as math requirements and looking at legislation in what can be impacting us and our students as they move through high school as well, and we want them prepared. And yes, one of the things winding up at 6th grade has allowed for the expansion of that support of the same model for students.
Great, glad to hear that you're looking beyond that and creating that framework for the middle school, because we can make a lot of progress with our students and then they matriculate to 7th and 8th, and I don't want any of those students to get lost in the shuffle when they're making so much progress. So thank you again for all the work.
Agreed. You know, I come from middle school, so I definitely have a definite lifetime stake in making sure those students receive what they need.
Well, between you and Ms. Travanti, you answered most of my questions. My primary one was going to be, where's the data? I think you know that I like to
Yes.
see the data. So I appreciate that you did address that and that it will be coming. In regards to that data and the way that you talked about how you all analyze it and come together, what does that look like in terms of who and when and how often?
So we're actually, I was in meetings traveling around today, meeting with our counselors, for example, and our interventionists. What we are developing is a systemized system so that at each and every site, our teachers are meeting in PLC, so they look at just their general data, and then our interventionists may join them in looking at that. And let's say it's just math modules that they happen to be looking at. So they look at that, and that's standards based. But what we're looking at is starting to analyze data across the board. So students who are continuing to struggle in maybe specific standards or in their mathematics, we expect that a team is looking at this now. So then the interventionists come together with the administrators and potentially maybe the counselors. And sometimes if maybe SPED is involved, they would come together in kind of a coordination of services team at each of the sites so that they're meeting and looking at the students who are appearing on needs. Even if it's breaking it down by attendance or academics, they may look at attendance and realize we need to look at these students because attendance is affecting impacting their progress in school. And so then from there, they would decide what are the appropriate interventions. Same thing with academics as well. It's a little different in secondary where they're looking at grades, where in elementary school they're looking at benchmark assessments, and those benchmark assessments are where they will start noticing that the students are missing in different areas, and that's where the intervention begins. And that's how the groups are built, literally with our teachers in the room together with interventionists and counselors deciding here's a group that we need to put together. In a nutshell, that's as basic as it can get.
Thank you. I was also wondering, when my kids were in elementary school, the way that intervention happened was a particular day. And so it was intervention, right? So let's say it was Wednesday. At 10 was intervention. So it was intervention for everyone. But these kids went here and did this, and these kids went here and did something different. Is it the same now? It doesn't look like it.
No,
it looks like it's more vibrant or.
I've seen that model, and that's the model where everyone goes, and then other kids need to be kids who don't need intervention go for maybe something different or a little more advanced lesson learning or whatever. Yes, and so this is much more targeted intervention, is what it is. So we look at how the students are achieving, and we target that intervention, and sometimes it's individualized. Sometimes the support folks will go into the classroom. It might just be a large swath of students need this support, and so you may see 2 people in the classroom, or you may see small groups. But that still doesn't rule out, by the way, the instruction that goes on within the classroom, the differentiated expectations as well. So you may see small groups in a classroom working with a teacher, and that's the preventative medicine prior to going to a different type of group that helps really support that piece. So that it looks much more targeted now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that doesn't. Does that still happen?
It happens. It doesn't happen in that method quite as much, but I will be honest, that would be more of a method that if we were to significantly alter what secondary looks like or middle school, that might be something that we would look at in the future of what you might even consider a 7th period. Or that type of model where you have students who go and have that intervention piece. So. That's a model, by the way. I'm just. I'm not saying we're doing that. I'm saying that is a model that could be used for that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moses. I appreciate the presentation, and I appreciate all the interventionists and all of the team. And I loved the video, as Ms. Travanti said. So thank you for a comprehensive overview. Can't wait to see more data.
Yes.
I have a quick question, and I apologize if this is not the proper place for it, but does the system account for students who, as it relates to their academics, are high functioning? For a student that is successful in terms of their classes, but a parent might acknowledge that on the issue of social emotional learning, they're falling well behind. Does the system have catchment for that?
Yes, and there is a. When we talk about our interventionists, that's just kind of our daily piece. This is where, when I spoke of what might be called an MTSS team or a COS team, that is where we look at those students' needs who may need support with social emotional learning, or displaced, or an unhoused student. Yes. That comes up within that coordination of services team. They would be looking at those components and then pairing or matching what support models there may be, where that would be much more in the realm of maybe even outreach or working with one of our local providers to do outreach with the family. Whether I know one of our I was just talking about it today, working in tandem with Pacific Clinics, with our schools, and offering support beyond where the school can reach.
And just to clarify, is that a process that parents can initiate themselves, or?
Yeah. So with our counselors now, our counselors can help pair up. The parents can reach out to either teachers, or they can even refer themselves, sometimes working with some of our providers as well. Counselors are always the best bet to help point them in the right direction. So interventionists for academics and counselors for the social, emotional, and behavioral pieces. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Moses.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, my intervention team and coaching team. I appreciate it.
Up next is Dr. Hart wrote us in a Measure MM facilities update.
Yes, thank you. I'm playing the part of Dr. Giroux today. Yeah. Okay. I have Mr. Nava to back me up in case I forget anything. First up, there we go. Recently, we had architect walks for modernization at Wild Rose on November 12th and at Plymouth on November 19th. At both of those sites, the walks were to identify priorities in addition to those listed in the facility needs assessment in terms of for modernization, as well as to look at things like disability access. The team that walked included the architect that were assigned to the project, Dixon representatives, the site administrator, and district leadership. And right now, the teams for both of those sites are working on the report, and as soon as those are ready, they will be delivered for the board to review. In terms of the Brad Oaks rebuild, the progress on the roof is the roof was removed, it was replaced, and it was sealed before the rain that we had last week. And the HVAC system has been installed, and there is a possibility of addressing ADA requirements before the summer, as long as the weather doesn't get in our way. And we do expect that the building will be available in early February. We did discuss a little bit in our advisory committee meeting an opportunity to move faster with the PA and address systems in that building while the building is open. And on the Brad Oaks building, while the building is open, well, we haven't put the roof and everything, all the walls back in. So we're going to go ahead and take the opportunity while everything's open to try to get those pieces put in now. That's in progress. And I spoke to this earlier, but again, the demo has been completed of the plaster, the water line and target tiles have all been taken out. They are, as I spoke of earlier, installing water line and swim lane tiles, which are required for CIF to be able to use that pool once it's constructed. The next steps also, they have to put the steps back in and plaster the pool, put the handrails and grab rails back on so that it's safe to get in and out of the pool. And as we talked about, that final inspection is due in early January, and we are on pace, for final completion in early January, pending agreeable weather and health department review. That's the end of the report.
Questions?
Thank you, Dr. Hart-Rodas. My questions are in regards to the Brad Oaks rebuild and that process, and I just would like you to walk us through that inspection process. I know we're expecting and hoping that we can reopen that building sometime in February, but I know that depends on a lot of things, not just weather, but a lot of inspections. So if you could walk me through what the structural stability integrity inspection is, like hazardous materials, utilities, and who issues the certificate of occupancy.
Sure, and I made sure to ask the right people. So I'm not just making this up. But school construction is under the Division of State Architects for the project. So all the inspections are completed and approved by the DSA Inspector of Record. And any specialty testing is done by an approved lab. Hazmat, or hazardous materials, was performed by a qualified environmental firm during the cleanup phase, according to per our ASCIP, our insurance requirement, when the burn originally happened, when we do have that report in our files. Utility systems responsibility is based on our meters, and the school district, we are responsible for that. We retain that utility systems. The systems are inspected by our DSA inspector regularly. The certificate of occupancy will be provided by the inspector of record when the building's ready. Further, pressure testing for the piping systems is required by DSA on the approved documents. Electrical components will be tested and certified by DSA. And the inspector of record will observe all required testing for the project and provide compliance of all items required by DSA. DSA will certify and provide the certification of the project once all the required documents from design team, inspector of record, and the lab are successfully submitted.
And are these inspections that have to be pre-scheduled with DSA? Or,
Yes, Jonathan, that's the part I don't know.
I guess what
I
I'm trying to
recall they
avoid
are.
here is
As I
that.
remember from my previous construction,
Yeah.
yes.
So as the phases progress, the inspector of record, the IOR, is on site, making sure that things are going accordingly. So once, let's say, they pressure test the plumbing, they're there to go ahead and say, okay, it's cleared, it's approved, on to the next phase. Or once the utilities are up and running, they'll close, or they'll kind of like your home. They're going to go in, inspect the work, and then once it's ready, they're going to close up the walls and go on to the next phase.
Yeah, and the city does that if, because I'm about to go through a remodel actually, so I'm learning all of this with the city. But this is all with DSA. And so I just wanted to make sure that our building doesn't sit there ready for occupying, but we're still waiting for DSA to sign off on it. So if anything can be scheduled, and all that, that's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, so the IOR, I'm sorry, I'm battling this cold. So the IOR and the GC work together, and then they schedule it just to keep going and trucking. Cobb has been amazing. They've been keeping pace, so they are scheduling as it goes.
So the inspector and the general contractor are there the whole time as we're doing layer by layer.
Yes.
It's coming back to me.
Dixon as well, yes.
And Dixon. So as we're doing layer by layer, we finish, we test, the inspector signs off, we're good. You can close that layer, you go to the next piece.
Okay,
And then
perfect.
when all of that is done, that's what I was reading here.
All right, and Monrovia Fire Department never has to get involved then because it's not their jurisdiction.
Correct.
As far as the inspection process. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
we do our annuals with them anyway, so that's when they kind of they inspect our facilities.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that information. And I do have an ask.
Yes.
When we get to that point where we're near, I would like you to schedule a ribbon cutting with the board.
Oh, when the building
with
finishes.
yourself, the principal, and also the, I believe it was either four display teachers or 5 in that building.
Mm-hmm.
I can't recall exactly. 4? In that particular, because it affected
one
the
of them
other
was
building.
used as an office, yes.
Yes, I would want to have them involved as they are able to reoccupy their classrooms. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Dr. Hart-Rodas. We're going to move on to middle school consolidation presentation.
Yes, thank you. All right, thank you. Is this back on again? Okay. All right, good evening, everyone here. Some of you have been through many of our presentations, but for some of you either in the audience or, sorry, I'm not close enough, at home, this might be the first time you're actually hearing or seeing any of this, so I'm going to give you a little bit of background information to get you up to speed. In June of 2024, the LA County Office of Education required that we include in our fiscal stabilization plan reductions of $6.2 million over 2 school years, the 2024-25 and the 25-26 school years. And in December of 2024, the board approved the fiscal stabilization plan to happen over 2 phases. The first one happened this year with the right sizing and the dual immersion consolidation, including the 6th grade being retained at elementary school, and this year the middle school consolidation plan. Following best practices for school consolidation provided by the California Department of Education, as well as Ed Code 41329 as guidance, our team has spent the last several months examining data, collecting feedback on multiple occasions and in various formats from community, staff, and many different folks. We have compared the physical features and the capacities of each school site relevant to the future size and anticipated student enrollment of the eventual combined middle school. In addition to classroom spaces and availability, we also compared ancillary and co-curricular spaces on each campus. We investigated the availability of restroom access for both students and staff, looking for availability of female, male, and gender-neutral spaces. We considered the facility modernization needs based upon the 2019 Facility Needs Assessment Study and compared that with the recent 2025 estimated eligibility for state modernization funds for each school site. We also considered the environmental factors of the location of each school using data acquired from the City of Monrovia's 2021 Environmental Justice Memorandum. Please note that in this case, a lower percentile is considered more favorable. Using our current enrollment at the lower grades as a guide and accounting for the anticipated declining enrollment of 2% per year, we projected our middle school enrollment for the next several years. This demonstrates that the consolidation is a necessary long-term need. Another consideration we looked into is where our students live in relation to the two middle school campuses. We took the addresses of the current TK through 7th grade students. We geoplotted them, put them on a map. The circles around each campus on this particular map represent the 1.5 mile radius, which is currently used in our board policy for the transportation at the elementary school level to give us an idea of our potential transportation needs. We took the combined grade level maps and created 2-year cohort maps for all the cohorts all the way down to the TK grades, and to give us more insight to where each cohort of students lives in relation to the schools. This is the cohort map for the students in the current 5th and 6th graders, or the school kids that will be in the school during the school year 27-28 school year. In this particular example, we reduced the radius around the schools to 1 mile for comparison, because the 1.5 mile radius actually reaches to the edge of the school district, the distance between the two schools. So we looked at a 1 mile difference to see how that how the difference compared in distance. We also compared the demographic makeup of both school populations, paying special attention to the high need groups. This is the data from last year when the schools had grades 6 through 8. This is the data from the current school year. You'll notice that even though percentage of students from each category seem different from school to school, that because of the size of their enrollment, sometimes the actual number of students being served, some actual number of students is the same number or even greater number at one school than compared to the other. For example, when we were looking at the percentage of students on the free and reduced lunch, we see that Santa Fe has 81% of their students are on free and reduced lunch, where Clifton has 58%. But when we look at the raw numbers of students, Santa Fe has 210 and Clifton has 261. So it's been really helpful for us to look at this data in a variety of ways, and helps us get a better picture of who the students are, where they're located, and who we are servicing. It was brought up in many of our meetings asking us if any of the recent developments in our town are bringing us any new students. And so we used our student database to look at all of these new developments and to see if we've accrued any student enrollment from these developments. And the fact of the matter is that these facilities just aren't bringing us the students and the families that we'd hoped. To date, of the 1,360 units that are available, we've accrued only 34 students. 34. They're listed here. You can see the number of students and which schools they attend currently. As you're aware, we also did a public survey. In our public survey, we asked people which school they believe should remain open. And out of the 853 respondents, 629 people, or 73.7%, responded in favor of Clifton, and 224 people, or 26.3%, responded in favor of Santa Fe. Of the respondents who completed the survey, nearly 73% were current MUSD parents, and we even had 70 future MUSD parents and 89 current students complete the survey. Of the current MUSD parents who completed the survey, you can see that those who showed the most engagement were the parents of the current 6th and 7th grade students, with the parents of the current 4th and 5th grader parent students following close behind, which is a good sign because those are the parents who will be in, those are the next two cohorts of students who will be in the school that is combined. In closing, I really want to assure you that this decision was reached after thorough and careful consideration of the available data. We have integrated every single facility, financial and environmental factor, as well as the valuable input that we've received from our community through all of our meetings, the surveys, and the questions that were raised throughout the process. We are confident that the path forward represents the best way for our students, the district, and their future. And this is why I recommend that we would keep Clifton Middle School open as a Monrovia Unified Middle School moving forward. Are there any questions?
Any questions of Dr. Hart-Rodas?
Thank you, Dr. Hart-Rodas, members of the community. As the elected official for trustee area number 1, I have been paying close attention to these presentations and have asked a number of questions along the way. If we could please pull up the presentation, I would really appreciate if we could start at the facility size and capacity.
Are you doing it or me?
Perfect. If I could ask a clarifying question to start, the shade availability, that was defined how again?
The shade availability is the man-made shade structures that are designed for with designated seating for lunch.
Perfect. I appreciate that answer. And the reason I asked that is because when Mr. Nava graciously took us on a tour of both campuses, I noticed that the majority of that shaded area that is being referenced there is not actually a purposely built structure. Instead, it is shade that just so happened to be there because of where the auditorium is positioned. There is no actual coverage above it. It is shaded depending on obviously the path of the sun, depending on the time of the day, etc. So this isn't necessarily an equal comparison. The 2,000 square foot, I do believe, for Santa Fe as we toured that facility, but the 3 actually built structures at Clifton do not amount to 5,500 square feet. So I'm just wondering why we were able to apply it loosely at one site and not hold both of them to the same standard. So that was the first one. The second one, I had a question about the gymnasium, which should be the next slide. Now, I do see that the gymnasium at Clifton has a capacity for 450 people, and I'm assuming because there are no bleachers there for any type of spectators to look upon the activities that are going there, that is just putting seats on the court itself under the roof that seems to be falling apart. Is that what I'm?
That's the fire department occupancy.
Right, but again, there's no bleachers there.
There
so
are no
that,
bleachers
that
there,
would
that's
be
correct.
putting chairs down on the court, and so we wouldn't be able to
Occupancy,
simultaneously.
however you would want to occupy the space.
Gotcha. So if, for instance, the middle school students were having a home basketball or volleyball game that was indoors, they would not be able to at the for the basketball, and they were hidden somewhere that I did not see when I toured the facility.
May I ask? I believe they push into the wall. Am I correct, Mr. Moses, that the bleachers push
Nava.
into the wall? Oh, Mr. Nava. There you go.
Is it on? Okay. The Clifton does have the aluminum bleachers to the right, and then
They're
student
just smaller, right?
yeah, student bench to the left.
To the left, okay.
Yes.
Did we look at the cost of repairing the roof inside of the gymnasium? I know that we identified several spots throughout the roof that looked like the wood was rotting.
Yeah.
Probably
We had
original.
not explored those costs, but it's not structural, so I don't foresee it to be as great of a cost.
And then the locker rooms there, the remodeling of what used to be showers that are no longer being used, that cost, was that going to be
It would be
transformed?
costly, correct.
Got it. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to mention about this space was the lovely theater at Clifton, which everybody loves and adores. It is a tremendous location. But have we looked into the cost of modernizing the lights, the chairs in the auditorium, what that cost would look like? That as well. But also the air conditioning unit that was built into the facility, because I believe you would have to tear down the front of the auditorium to remove those pieces of equipment.
Yes, it'd be a substantial project.
Substantial project. So in its current state, it does not have a functioning AC unit that we can count on a reliable basis, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to ask, and I'm getting to the money part. So if we go to the eligible funding slide, which should, there we go. So both sites appear to be in dire need of a substantial amount of money. An influx of money is required. Now, the numbers that I see here with the current estimated eligibility show that Clifton is eligible for almost $4 million and Santa Fe only at $765,000. Now, I'd like to know why, if we're looking big picture here, the future of our district, did we not add the $4.5 million that Santa Fe is eligible for in 2026?
This is based on what's available right now, today, this year, when we have to make the decision.
But as we know, that money is not available right now. It's something that we have to get in line, and hopefully in 3 to 5 years we will receive, correct?
That's correct.
So then saying that it's available today is not necessarily a false narrative, but saying 2026 numbers, which would give us $5.4 million at Santa Fe for a district that's struggling to cover that $40+ million bill, an extra $1.5 million might be beneficial.
That is possible. However, I will also point out to you here on this slide that the 6 classrooms upstairs at Santa Fe are currently, we couldn't use and would need, and that requires an $800,000 and $900,000 elevator that we would have to have before the fall.
Based on the declining enrollment that you had showed, would we necessarily
still need those
those
classrooms.
rooms? So right now, how many rooms are we using at both sites combined? What does that look like? How many rooms would we need once we consolidate both schools?
We would need all of the classrooms at Santa Fe.
And that is based on
32. 32.
Oh, we would need all 32 is what you're saying? I didn't see that slide. That's why I'm asking. I didn't
It's
see
not
that.
on the slide, but
So going back to the 48 versus 44 million, we would need an additional 800,000 for an elevator, which the extra 1.4 would cover, and we would still be 4
But
million
those aren't funds
less.
that we have right now.
But in your presentation, you stated, well, that's what we're eligible for now. I know that we don't have those funds now, and the rooms aren't necessarily ready to all be used at this time also. Or are they, Mr. Nava? Would you say that at both sites, aside from the elevator, that all rooms are up to par, even the ones that we walked in that had heavy machinery, et cetera?
So Santa Fe rooms are usable. With all due respect, we do need an elevator to utilize the top.
Most definitely.
So they are not eligible for use.
Aside from, right, now, at Clifton, there are no issues with any of the rooms that would prevent us from using them?
I believe we have access to all those classrooms.
Okay. I wish I brought pictures of them. Thank you, I appreciate that though, Jonathan, thank you. And again, thank you for taking the time to show us all of the facilities so that we were able to have firsthand experience and not just rely on narrative that's presented on these presentations.
Thank you.
Reserve the right to come back in just a moment.
Don't go far. But I will say, and yes, thank you for walking us through both campuses. Dr. Hart wrote us, I'm very interested in a couple of things. Now, for the public, we are not making a decision tonight.
No, that's correct.
It was just
This
the
is just my
recommendation
recommendation.
today.
Correct.
We still have until our December 17th meeting to ask further questions, get further clarification, follow-ups, all of that, so that we are equipped with all the information that we need to make an educated decision, because it is a tough decision. I want to start off by saying thank you to all of those that responded to our survey. That's probably the most engagement I've seen on a survey since I've been on the board for 7 years now. So thank you for that feedback, the input. It was valuable. Dr. Hart-Rodas was front-loading the board as those responses came in, so that we can see, you know, what you all were saying and giving in feedback. But I'm very interested in the transportation piece, and I'm very interested in what a transition plan looks like for students, for staff, and families. It's going to be critical to build a unified school identity. Creating that culture and support is so critical to make sure that this, you know, works as best as it can be. There are going to be some people in our community that are going to be disappointed with whatever the outcome is.
Absolutely.
And so we want to be very conscious and mindful of that when we go to move forward. But let's tackle the transportation piece. I know that you're working on a response on a request that
Actually,
I had made.
Doctor, if I could interrupt just on that.
Yes, yes.
Dr. Giroux and Mr. Nava and I have been working on this, and even since you and I talked earlier today, in looking at our routes and the work that we've already been doing, and with the maps, because I only showed one or two here, and I believe that Ms. Thomas has already posted some of our other maps on our middle school consolidation page so that everyone can see all of our other maps. The work we've looked at today is, because we've been short a bus driver for a while, we've had to double up on some routes, and with the essentially removal of one school off our route and the rerouting of our buses, and now we've just hired another driver who will, by this time this school year happens, we will have an additional driver. We believe that with some rerouting of the routes and the additional driver, with minimal additional cost, we will be able to transport the students even from the southernmost part of the district that need to get to Clifton.
All right, thank you. Thank you. This is the first I've heard that we're
It's
actually
just been
working
this
towards a
afternoon
plan.
that we've
Okay.
been running numbers,
Yeah.
been able to get those numbers together. We estimate there'll be anywhere, again, looking at those cohort numbers and literally counting sometimes by hand. The students, we're running worst case scenario, if you will, of if every kid needed a ride. In some cohorts, there's sometimes 115 kids who might need a ride. And so we were looking at, could we ostensibly give everybody a ride? How would that work? And, doing very rough estimates. But we believe that with minimal cost, because of routes we already run and having an additional driver, we would be able to accommodate those folks. We would have to rewrite board policy and things, but we believe that it's doable. Am I missing anything?
Correct.
All right, I'm encouraged by that. And again, this is not to say that the board has made a decision. This
Correct.
is just based on your
Correct.
recommendation, but
Based on the
looking
recommendation,
at Santa Fe's eligible for free or reduced meals, that's a high percentage of students of their population. That's very telling to me in that there is a definite need. Because most likely there isn't transportation from their home, or parents are working, or whatever the scenario may be. That right there is a flaggable item for me.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, and I've made the walk from Plymouth all the way up to Clifton before. I understand how long it takes to get there.
yeah. I feel very strongly about this.
Absolutely,
I just want you
absolutely.
to know that.
So that's why we've been working at ways. So your other questions were around
Well, the support.
Support and
And the
transition,
transition
absolutely.
and creating that culture, and also what is the communication strategy? What does that look like, and a timeline? And the whole reason why we push to do this now.
Correct.
And make the decision by December
Correct.
is so that we had the
Yes.
rest of the school year to work on that
Correct.
communication strategy.
And so if you've been to the meetings, you hear me talk about the January to June work. That's, in my mind, phase 3 of this. And Ed Services, Mr. Moses, our teams, Miss Leone, we have already been in conversation about the scaffold, but it's not just the 4 of us. It is going to be a huge team of people that we have to combine staff. We have to combine students. We have to combine PTAs. Shout out to Atria, I know you're out there. We have to combine student leaderships. We have to combine Renaissances, Webs, Avids. There's all of these, robotics teams have to get together and join each other. We have all of these pieces. We have room for everybody, right? All of those different things have to be brought together and be given an equal seat at the table. And, Miss Costarella is down there at Santa Fe with Dr. Green's departure in the summer. We asked Miss Costarella to come and step in, knowing that we would only need 1 principal next year at a middle school. And so we all know that Miss Costarella is just there for the year, and that we know that Miss Leone will be the principal of whatever middle school we have, wherever it may be. And so we've been working with her since last summer about what is this transition plan. She's been chomping at the bit to go over to Santa Fe and meet people, meet the teachers, meet the students. She wants to work and begin building those bridges. And I've just said, we got to wait till January. We got to wait till a decision is made to get forward. But we have a list, Jeff, is like how many pages long, of all the things we have to do. Ms. Thomas and I have already talked about all the different paths of communication and checkpoints that we have to do. We've already, we have plans already for the ways that we need to start this project, things that we need to do from January, as I said, till June, things that we want to do with the kids and the teachers in the summertime if they want to come, not for free. Yeah, because we know that this is, it has to be done well, and it has to be done right, and it has to be done with intentionality. I don't want to stand on my soapbox anymore on that. Thank you. Yes.
think you've answered my questions. I
Okay.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, between Mr. Gomez-Tagle and Mr. Vonti, I think most of my questions have been responded to. I think whether or not they've been fully answered is probably going to be an evolving conversation, which is probably true of this whole team. To Mr. Vonti's point, we're going to spend the next 6 months, however this lands, really ironing these things out. Could you speak to how many students each campus can comfortably accommodate? When we were doing the presentation, it was said that at one point Santa Fe had almost 800 students as a part of its student body.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if you could speak to how that would be possible if we can't accommodate 700 now.
Well, that was before, with previous ADA requirements have changed. Right? We just had ADA walkthroughs at all of our sites. ADA requirements are different. The requirements to utilize any upstairs space for students, staff, for anything, we must have ADA accessibility. So I can't put anything up there that any member of the public, any member of my staff can't access.
And then how many students, to your knowledge, can Clifton accommodate?
They've had as many, let me pull up.
I think I heard 1,300, 1,200?
No, they've
as
had.
a max.
Oh, as a max? Gosh.
Or alternatively, what's a operationally effective number to have there to where the school is utilized
They've had 1,000 in their history. The largest they've been in the last 10 years was 800.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking about, to Mr. Gomez-Tagle's point, this decision isn't a 1 to 2 year decision. It's likely the next 10 years of secondary education in Monrovia. And I think it's important for us to not only plan for the 730 we have now, but to plan for the 614 we'll have within the next 8 years. So I just want us to be mindful of that as we consider what that population will look like on a campus. And really what I'm getting at is, would having 600 kids at Clifton be like giving my sweater to a little kid? Is the campus too big? And would therefore we not be maximizing that facility? This is really what I'm getting at.
No, I do not believe that it's too large, no.
Okay. And then just one other...
No, it would not be like putting 600 kids at MHS. No.
Okay. And then one other thing, it's mostly a comment. I am concerned, and I'd be remiss to not acknowledge that approving this recommendation would mean that we would only have one campus south of the 210. And I'm concerned about what that signals to Southern Monrovia about this district's investment in a large part of our community. So there's not really a question there, but it is something that I'm thoughtful of, and we'll continue to be thoughtful of ahead of our meeting in December.
If you could comment on that. I hear that, and that resonates with me. And as part of our survey, we did, ask for feedback on what would we do and could we do with the campus that was not being used as a school. And I think that we have, if this recommendation was approved, I think that we have opportunity to do some powerful things for our community in that area that we can discuss at a later date. But there's lots of opportunities that we could bring to our community south of the freeway that would benefit everyone in our community.
Thank you. And to that point, this is a really challenging process. I did not grow up going to these schools, but my sister did. My sister went to Santa Fe. She received an excellent education, and to Mrs. Lockerby's comment in the board report. Those students are excellent. All of our students are excellent. And it's important to me that we acknowledge that, because also to Mrs. Lockerby's point, there were some really disturbing comments in the survey. As someone who grew up working class, brown, queer, I struggled in a middle school myself in Pasadena Unified that was under-resourced, that existed with the stigma that those are that's the school for the kids that bring out knives. And I'd be remiss to not acknowledge that I've heard that in this conversation, and it's concerning to me. Now, our responsibility, to Mr. Hammond's point, is fiduciary. It is to ensure the sustainability of this district, and that is my chief concern. But I do want to acknowledge that dynamic of this conversation as well, and assure the community that that is on my heart moving forward into December. Looking at the number of unduplicated students at Santa Fe, I'm really concerned about how this will impact those kids as it relates to transportation, as it relates to feeling encouraged by their community. I would be sad if I saw this survey result as a student at Santa Fe, that only 25% of my community wanted my school open. And that's heartbreaking, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ocon. Per your recommendation, have we reached out to the neighborhood around Clifton? Your recommendation is to have the consolidation go to Clifton. Clifton is predominantly in the middle of a neighborhood, so there are neighbors directly across the street and surrounding the entire campus. The parking structures, the parking spaces, there are half as many parking spaces. So where are those teachers going to park? So not only where are the teachers going to park, but when my first question, have you reached out to the neighborhood? So not only are people going to have to park in the neighborhood, but there is the drop-off and pickup traffic, which is going to be increased. It hasn't been that long since there were over 700 students at Clifton. My tenure, there were 700, so 6-7 years ago.
Not even that long.
But our memories are selective, and to all of a sudden have this influx of increase in morning and afternoon traffic. So, 2 questions. Have you reached out to the neighborhood to get input or give information to those that would be affected based on your recommendation, if that's the way the board went? And what suggestions or what recommendations do you have for parking for staff?
We have not reached out to the neighborhood yet. This is the first time anybody is hearing that this is a recommendation. The survey was made available to everyone in the community. It was sent out through the city manager's update. We certainly can reach out to the neighborhood now that the recommendation is public. In terms of where people can park, the last time that they had over 700 students was in the 2020-2021 school year. So that was a year before I got here. I don't know what parking looked like back then.
Well, all parking around this school everywhere is a nightmare, right?
Right.
But it's been significantly less, and it's going to go back up.
Yes. And so
regardless of which.
And so definitely part of the transition plan will be working with the city and working through what is that going to look like. but that's part of the transition plan. I don't have an answer for you right now because it would be premature for me to be working on that right this minute. That would be, that's not work that's been done yet.
I was just wondering if, I mean, you're making a recommendation and you've been giving data for the past 2 months, and one of the sets of data is the parking spaces. So I actually don't know why you don't have that idea right now, because you've actually mentioned it, and there's half as many parking spaces for twice as many staff. That's a significant impact on the area. So
The number of staff is not going to double. Remember that we're looking at the number of students, thereby the number of staff is going to continue to decline. So I
think you're parsing my point. My point is there's half as many parking spaces.
Yes.
And the staff is going to significantly increase.
Yes. No, I understand
at whatever
that.
facility
Yes.
we use.
Yes.
And if your recommendation is Clifton, these are logistics that I would expect would be part of your thought process in giving us your recommendation, because where is staff going to park?
There's ample street parking. We don't control that. I'm sorry, maybe I'm not understanding
What's whispering over here that I hear?
I'm just saying, yeah, I agree, it's a challenge.
Okay. Thank you.
I apologize. I'm misunderstanding.
Do I need to clarify something?
No, I got it.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to ask is, I noticed when you were addressing Ms. Travanti's discussion about the busing, which, just for the public's edification, is all of our concern and has always been all of our concern, and something that we've been asking about and talking about and navigating for this whole time and before. But it didn't dawn on me. Is there a scenario where we don't bus everyone who needs to be bused?
Please don't. There is no current board policy that allows for it. So we would have to change our policy, right? And we would have to know what that expense was so I have to be able to come to you and say, this is what it's going to cost. This is what we need to be able to have the resources to do it. We don't want to, me and my team have no intention of leaving students with no way to get to school. But I can't come to you and say, oh yeah, we're going to do it, but we have no idea how.
So this is another situation for me, and I'm sorry this is unfolding as we're speaking, where I don't understand why we would be given a recommendation without that sort of information. So if I understand you correctly, you just said we don't know if we have the money, right?
No, I've already cleared that up.
Okay, clear it back up for me, because
I confirmed earlier that Mr. Nava and Dr.
Right.
Giroux and I we can transport students.
Right.
So
Okay.
I have recommended that we can or should keep Clifton open.
So this scenario where we wouldn't bus anybody is purely based on board policy being changed. Is that accurate?
So in a shortage of bus drivers, we're also looking at different avenues. So we're currently helping and training our general maintenance too, to help alleviate that as well.
To help alleviate what?
If there's any need for additional busing. So our thought process was sometimes we have to go out with Elite for events, correct? If we're able to keep that in-house, that'll also save the district costs and assist with the buses.
The question is, how far and at what rate can we commit to providing transportation?
So let me back up because I don't want this to be this confusing. My question was, is there a scenario where we don't bus everybody?
It's possible. That's not what we want to do.
And so the scenario is based on funding, having another bus driver. What is that scenario?
If we don't have enough drivers,
That's the scenario. Okay. How many buses do we have? 6?
7, I believe.
Could we figure that out? Because that's not the first time I've asked that question. We don't have a lot. Can we get that solid number so that the next time I ask that, we know how many buses we have? And how many bus drivers do we have?
5 bus drivers.
5 bus drivers and 6 or 7 buses. Okay. Several months ago, I talked from the dais about the bus route and how early it starts for some students. That's a concern of mine in regards to this issue as well, which I won't get into right now, but just so that you know, for whatever site the board decides, that's a concern for me, because if we do have enough buses and we do have enough bus drivers and we do change board policy, I don't want people to be bused at 5:45 in the morning.
the earliness is compounded by the fewer bus drivers because they have to make a longer route.
I understand, and I know that we've been trying to hire more bus drivers for a long time. I appreciate that. I know that's not your fault. I wish it could be different. So I reserve the right to ask.
I'm sorry, finish your sentence.
More questions later, but I'll stop.
May
at
I
this point.
just say one thing? Is that at the end of the day, we have to consolidate. And my team and I had to take everything we have, and we have worked with all the data that we can, and we have to provide you with a recommendation. Everything that we have tells us that this is the right decision. There are things like, can we hire enough bus drivers before that time? That I can't tell you 100% positive that I'll get a 7th bus driver. I'm going to tell you we're going to do everything we can. I told Jonathan today I'll go pass the test. All right, I'll drive a bus if that's what we need. But we're going to do everything we can to give you what you need to.
My questions didn't suggest that I disagree with the need for consolidation. My questions were about information and data. I'm always looking for data, right? And the information that has been put out in our information sessions, and the information that the board has gotten, which is sometimes different because we've all had additional questions. I asked how much an elevator would cost. I asked how much a theater would cost at Santa Fe, right? We've all had other questions. So I appreciate your comment, but don't think that I'm suggesting that we don't consolidate. My questions are about some things that are important about the consolidation that I don't have answers to. That's going to affect how I vote the next meeting.
Understood.
Thank you, Ms. Lockerbie. Dr. Hart-Rodas, I wanted to ask, which I should have started this with, and thank you for being as calm and collective as you are. Of the $6.2 million that we were ultimately looking to save, do we know where we're at in reference to that number?
We saved, I can't give you an exact dollar figure, but our approximate savings after the first year is approximately $4 million.
4 million. Okay, so we're well on our way.
Mm-hmm.
And doing this would hopefully get us to that 6.2.
Doing this with the additional ongoing savings because of the staff reductions from the previous year.
Got it. Thank you. I wanted just to, because as you said, this is a very important thing, and I want to make sure that we all have the right data. If we're looking at the enrollment projections, no, this is a lot. If we're able to pull that up, there's a glaring issue right there in the middle that I'm hoping is just a typo, right? That as important as this is, somehow we said we're from 663 up to 700.
Kindergartners.
That's that bubble of kindergartners.
That we go up.
Mm-hmm. There's a small bubble of
Got it.
that kindergartners, yeah. Because we did a gross, we just took each year and took the 2% off. So there's a bubble.
And then the maps that we were looking at before, did you have those maps just so that we can see at a later time what those populations look like across our city? Because again, we are, depending on which way we go, only going to have one school below, go as far up, well, Colorado, right? We'd have one school below Colorado.
So if you go back, I have the clicker, never mind. Oops. So that's the current TK through 7th grade across the whole city. That's everybody that's not already in 8th grade or high school.
Yeah.
Right now.
Would we be able to break that down per grade level?
Eventually, yes, not right this second.
Of course,
what's on the website right now is broken in the 2 grade level cohorts. And what I shared with you guys before, we put on the website already so the public can see it.
Have we asked the city or partnered with anybody to see what these are all projections, but where within our limits, city limits, we have the most potential for growth? Now, and I'm saying that because I see there's a huge pocket of students, at least what it looks like based on this graph, up on the northern part of our city. But I also know that down below the 210, there is the possibility for a lot more housing for potential families. And I'm just wondering what that would look like for the city if we're telling them that the only school you have access to if you move down here are up that way. I don't know if we've looked at that.
Affordable, I think, is the key. If we look at this, right?
And I'm thankful that you have this there. One of the things that when I saw this, one of the things that I thought is, if I'm able to live in one of these complexes, and I see that there is a middle school directly in front of me, that could ultimately be a beneficial thing. My son or daughter can walk across the street, and I see that it hasn't resulted in that. So I wonder, did we at any point survey any of the families that were moving in to see what type of programming they would like to see at a school that their son or daughter would potentially enroll in? And I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, as the computer science magnet school, at least that's what it says so on the outside of the school, what programming do we have that directly speaks to that? Right? If you called today and asked for special programming, specifically, let's say a computer lab, or we have that there? Did we do our school? I know they have a lab, but it's not being used as a lab. It's a storage room currently, unfortunately. So I don't know if we intentionally did that or.
Dr. Z, you can speak to more of it. You were there when it was renamed, or were you there after it was renamed?
Good evening. It had just been renamed, and so there were high hopes that that was going to sort of change things. And we did have some, and there's some of the great people here who did it for a while. We had some programming that supported those goals. One of the things that's also still on the outside of the school and at Mayflower, Code of the Future, they folded. Yeah, it didn't work out.
So that wasn't the district's fault. That was that program itself. So was that something that was spearheaded by yourself and others that were there and unfortunately left once you did?
I can speak to that. Just go get the old guy. He can tell you. It was renamed in order to spur growth. At the time, there was always having an issue with the number of students. And I'm thinking about Terrence Williams right now, and removing whatever stereotypical point of view that people had about going to Santa Fe. And so instead of being just Santa Fe Middle School, you would change the dynamic by changing the name and hopefully break some of the long-standing, I think, incorrect view of what was happening at Santa Fe. So that was the reason for it. And it was the hopes that we would attract other students, and then, give them a sense of place and home there at Santa Fe. The problem is, as we're all seeing, is that the number of students that are going there is less and less and less each year. Did we do a very good job with giving a computer science programming to it? We tried. It was not successful. All I can say is the robotics club gave birth at Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very robust thing. So there were opportunities where you would say this was very successful, but I'd say by and large, no. And the name change was really to break the cycle of the, I think, misdialogue of what Santa Fe was all about. That's the reason for the name change.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, were you done? I'm sorry. Okay. Just to follow up to the transportation thing. Rather than going on assumptions that buses are needed, can we survey parents? Can we send out a survey?
Yes,
and,
ma'am.
With questions like, if transportation was available, would you utilize that?
That is part of our work. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I would want to see those numbers, and hopefully, we get parents to fill that out, because I would want to know, and obviously that will change year to year as students matriculate. But I would like to have a picture now of what that need
absolutely.
is.
And that is part of the planned work. But we wanted to be able to say, if everybody needed it, could we provide it?
Right. Right. And here's another challenge. If we were to move forward with your recommendation, and we're busing students from from Santa Fe, because it could be just the one stop. Parents already had planned on taking their kids to Santa Fe. They bus them here, but there are extracurricular activities after school. I would not want those students to be left out of participating in the intramural sports, and Mr. Moses talked about a seventh period and all of those things. So home probably would be two.
We've talked about
routes.
the unique challenges that come with middle school and all the after school activities, and that would be part of what we'd have to work out. We were talking about with Elite and Jerome, and you weren't part of these conversations, but we talked about potentially a swing shift driver and for that express purpose.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
It's still a work in progress. I know it's not moving as fast as you guys would like, but these are all things that we are talking about.
All right, great, thank you.
Just quickly, could Mr. Vonti or Dr. Arrotis, could either of you clarify the intention behind this survey in terms of how it fits into the process? Would this be after the decision's made or before December?
Like now.
I would like that to have that
My understanding is
information
you want
before I make a decision.
Are we concerned that that is a challenging window through which to reach the population of parents that we need to be reaching? Because there was concerns from that were elevated during our consolidation meeting process around our survey not reaching parents at Santa Fe.
It's actually, thank you for that question. It's
Just
actually,
quickly, only because we didn't ask folks to note in terms of parents which campus they were going to. I'd be surprised if an overwhelming amount of Santa Fe parents voted in favor of Clifton, but we don't have that information, so we don't really have any way of verifying whether or not our survey was successful in reaching, well, really either population of parent.
sure. Sorry, Leanna keeps reminding me I'm not close enough to the microphone. We actually have done transportation surveys before very successfully for summer school, and we can reach the parents directly and know exactly whose parents have and have not answered us through Parent Square. And Mr. Moses and I have lots of experience with that. So we can do that actually rather quickly. We already have a template set up for summer school, so we can do that very quickly. And we can even know and then bug people who haven't answered us.
Is there a reason why we didn't do that for this survey, or did we?
No, we can't let the public do surveys on Parent Square. So we choose to use the Google form so that it was accessible to the public.
Thank you.
Yep.
Going last, mostly everybody answers the questions that you have, but I have a couple of things that I'd like to get clarification for, please. Has anybody had a conversation with the city prior to this? Patterns and the flows on each? Every street in the city is graded. Typically speaking, Duarte Road is going to be graded much higher traffic flow than Ivy. Just look at it and you would know you have double lanes of traffic going east and west. One has single lanes of traffic going north and south. One is controlled by signals, and the other is controlled by stops. Stop signs are the opposite of traffic flow, whereas a green light from your signals is what keeps the traffic moving. So I would like to have, before we get to December, somebody needs to call the city. We need to know what there's a thing called the Traffic Safety Committee. It meets every month. And each one of our streets have been rated. Now, I do not know the last time it was rated, but it's required by law that they are rated over a certain space of time. So I'd like to know what the last rating was for Ivy. I'd like to know what the last rating was for Duarte Road, Peck Road. I'd like to know what the rating was for Palm. I'd like to know what the rating was directly impact not only the people that live there, it's the people who are coming in that would normally be not there to drop their students off. The second thing is, we cannot throw our hands up in the air and create a parking problem that said, well, we'll go on the street. Right across the street, if we are going to Clifton, right across the street from the post office, which they own the parking in front of the post office, the answer is, all that parking in front of the post office? Absolutely. They also, and the Methodist Church has parking over on the city's lot. Well, we had the city lot too. The city went into a long-term contract with a church that resides on Lime. It's on East Lime. So it would be Ivy to the left, about half a block. We need to look and see if we can help secure some of that parking for our staff.
Oh,
that
that
we're
part-
not
oh.
burning up all of the,
Okay.
Board President Hammond?
no, it's not the First Baptist.
I apologize. The microphone, you keep cutting off.
Mine?
Yes.
Okay. On the
If
next
you
go
could move
around
it just
for,
a little closer.
Expenditures, we need microphones.
No, you'll have new ones by the next meeting. Remember, you already approved that.
Is it better now? Okay. No one's ever asked me to talk louder. So what we need to do is see if we can enter into long-term agreements. That is a private lot. The city went into a private with that. They utilize it on days that they do not use it. We need to secure parking for our employees. We just cannot simply say, well, there's some street parking, go do it. There's permit parking that is on the south side of Palm, that is for residents only. There's a plethora of different issues with parking. And I'm sure that our teachers, as we would with most employees, want to be as close to our campuses as possible. We need to look at that. But the biggest thing is, are we creating a larger problem? And I have never heard it answered. Are we creating a larger problem by having more people go into a smaller area? The drop off, by the time we bring in buses, by the time we're going to have everything coming in at the same time. Yeah, you'll have buses coming in, you'll have parents coming in, and we will create a logistical nightmare. You have to look at that as part of the recommendation for what it is that we're going to do. At both sites, absolutely. You need to be able to compare them. Who can absorb it better?
Anything else? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nava.
All right, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. I know there's a number of pulled. If take it one at a time, so I make sure I don't mess up. Thank you guys for all attending.
Thank you. Board President Hammond, the item I would like to pull is part of the consent agenda and purchase orders. So
We'll just take it
what,
off.
okay,
We'll pull the purchase orders off, and we'll take it in as a matter of course.
okay, thank you.
Any other items to be pulled?
No, as I had mentioned to you earlier, I'd wanted to pull purchase orders, payment of bills, and I think we have
will do
different issues.
Yeah,
so-
different items.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Entertain a motion except for item 2A.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Passeri, you please call the roll.
Board Member Ocon?
Yes.
Board Member Gomez-Taglia?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, well, now we'll take up the matter of 2A. The staff report on that would have been. The purchase orders and payments of bills.
Did you want me to identify the specific item
You want me to
on
read
there?
the item?
Okay.
You want me to read the item first?
All right,
Okay.
perfect.
The Board of Education is requested to ratify the following purchase orders issued in the amount not to exceed $1,419,358.10 from October 4th, 2025 through October 28th, 2025. Warrants in the amount of $3,713,136.99 paid from October 4th, 2025 through October 28th, 2025. Payroll in the amount of $2,745,224.38 issued October 4th, 2025 through October 28th, 2025. Yeah.
Thank you, President Hammond. The item that I wanted to further discuss is item in purchase order, and it was identified as a MHS artificial turf installation for $74,375, which appears to be coming from the maintenance budget. I did ask a question about that, and I was given some information in regards to some upgrades to Friendship Circle where a large oak tree is located. I have some concerns that this is I was being asked to approve a large dollar item that I had no knowledge of. $74,000 is not, just anything. And we do have fiduciary oversight, so I wanted more information on that.
Yes, so there's about between, I think, 750 square feet behind the Friendship Circle where the large oak is. Currently, it's just a lot of dirt, turns into mud. We've had difficulties sustaining the grass there. So I was talking to Dr. Rainwater in hopes that we can get more of a seated, relaxing area for the students and passerbyers. So it'll be to prepare the soil, and install artificial turf along that area, that quad, that main strip. So the larger pad and then the small pad to the left.
And I certainly don't object to the want and the need. I think aesthetically it'd probably improve the area as well, more seating area for students. That's not my objection. My objection is the process here, the procedure. We should have had awareness. Is there, a sketch of this? What is it going to look like? And what was considered? Was irrigation considered? Those are the things that I need to know before we spend close to $75,000.
Most definitely. So they're going to be they're going to be removing the irrigation, capping it, and then just artificial turf there.
Okay. The update I received was there was collaboration, but I don't feel like there was collaboration. So where was the collaboration?
I think what Mrs. Stravanti is saying is, let's table this, go prepare a staff report so that the board can see what the intention of it is, so the board can bless it if it's their pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Is that
Yes,
what
ma'am.
you're asking?
That is what I'm asking for.
That's what I
You have a
understood.
way with words, you do.
No.
Can I ask, are you talking about the senior tree?
Inside
So-
the quad, correct?
So right to the north of the service road,
Correct.
the oak tree there, so that's called the senior tree.
Okay.
So, and the reason I'm mentioning that is because it's important to the seniors. So when we're talking about engaging and reaching our students, we need to hear from them also, because they feel like it's their tree, right? So we need to get buy-in and buy-in. And also, I don't know that there's dirt there. I know that there's rubber. What do you call that?
No, so just outside of the library. I forget where.
Okay.
Just outside of the library.
Grass at one time.
Yeah, it's a.
Is that the space that you're talking about? Or are you
Correct.
talking about by the oak tree?
No. So there is a large oak tree as well in that area.
Okay, you're talking about the south side of the service road.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, thanks for that clarification. I appreciate it.
And there may very well be that they've actually engaged the students on this. Dr. Rainwater may have done this, but again, because it hasn't been shared with us and what that plan is, there was no collaboration from the board. So as Mr. Hammond said, we would like to pull the item right now so that we can see that plan and get it in a board update.
Yes. I'll make sure to have the contractor do some sketches for us as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's the board's pleasure to pull this item straight over to a future board meeting.
Does that require a motion?
Can I also add that we include our current student board member in this process as well, since it will be impacting her?
Probably a good idea.
Excellent.
I will pass that along to Dr. Rowling Letter to make sure she's included.
She didn't stay, she gets volunteered for work.
Right.
Okay. 2A is tabled. All right.
I
Oh, no, I
apologize.
have.
I'm sorry. I'm
something
sorry,
as,
Celine.
as well.
Okay.
Thank you. So also in purchase orders and payment of bills, and I wish I could remember how to make things bigger. I did. There's an item on page 3 that's for $98,411, and it's for the flooring and maintenance of some portables at Plymouth. So I asked about this, and specifically what I asked about was the board informed about this previously? And the answer that I got back was yes, it was in a board update on August 22nd. So I went back to the board update on August 22nd, and what that said was, and I quote, Plymouth portable classroom buildings have been recarpeted with a carpet tile system to provide a cleaner, fresher, and more engaging learning environment for students. That's fantastic. I love the concept. I love the thought behind that, the improvement that wants to happen, and that it has already happened. That's great forward thinking about our kids. The issue that I have is, as Ms. Travanti said about the previous motion, this is a big ticket item. And I believe that something like this needs to be brought to the board, specifically this item about the portables, because the portables featured prominently in our facility needs report. There are only 3 of us kind of in the building who were there, who had, a back and forth discussion about the portables. And what was compelling to me was all portables are a temporary structure, and all portables have a life expectancy of about 25 years. So I don't know what portables these are. I don't know how old they are. I don't know how much disrepair beyond the carpet system, but this is specifically something, because it's a facilities thing and it was in the facilities needs report, that needs to be brought to the board. Mr. Nava wasn't here. I know none of you were here, but I just want to be able to share with you the communication that I expect, especially regarding things like this. If the more senior, in terms of time, board members could recall, not age. I always thought that we had a policy or a standing that had a monetary threshold, that if it was above a certain amount of money, it just wouldn't go into consent if it was something new. Do you remember that? Could we look that up and refresh current cabinet and current board? Because it was something, if it's a large amount of money and it's a new issue, it doesn't go in consent, it goes in action. I want to say it was $10,000, but maybe it was not that low.
I think
Am I mixing things?
We're mixing something up. And it has the ability for the superintendent to spend money that before it gets approved by the board. And it's about $10,000. So
But that's a different issue
That's a
than I'm
whole
thinking?
different issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're blending.
Okay.
And that one's still in place because
Mhm.
they have signature ability, so the district can run before we have a board
Right,
meeting.
okay.
They have to go out and do their business. In a situation like this, I do not disagree that when we're having a large dollar item, it would come to us probably not in a
Once
board
every
update.
25. Absolutely. What's the next thing is that something like this not come to us in a board update,
Or a
and not,
separate one, so it's highlighted.
But yes, it definitely needs to be something that, as you had mentioned on the previous issue, allows the board to be informed and give their blessing. I appreciate that you identified that it needed to be done, and I appreciate that you didn't know what transpired 6 years ago about these portables. So
Either way, communication is key, and I apologize for not bringing that forward.
It's all right, I appreciate
Dr.
it.
Dro and I are also working on another communication piece so that we can break down our future projects and planning phase and construction phase and closeout so that we can better communicate those to the board as well. So that is in the process. And to speak upon the Plymouth portables, it was kind of a rushed project. We did it also while kids were in campus. They did it over the night, pulled everything out, so it was after hours work. So they just kind of trickled each room, went through. So it was about 6 rooms, and it was to accommodate the new set of classrooms coming into Plymouth.
Right. Well, I appreciate the update, and I hope that my expectations are clear moving forward.
Yeah, we did discuss that this morning, and hence what Jonathan's talking about was that the update that you're referring to was after the fact, and so the new system, if you will, that they're discussing was like, oh, perhaps we need a different way.
Especially something $98,000 is almost the cost of a new portable, and I understand you spent that money
6
repairing
portables.
6,
yes,
but repairing a temporary structure that was past its life expectancy potentially. So,
I just have a quick question. So we're tabling item 2A in its entirety.
I'm going to come.
Oh.
I'm going to fix it so that we can take care of business. Are you good? Okay. So, got it. So what we're going to do is I'm entertaining a motion on 2A for its entirety, except for the item that is of concern that will come back at a future board meeting.
Except for Leanna, do you want
John, do you know what it is? Okay. So the motion that's going to be on the table will be to pay our bills with the exception of the artificial turf at the high school. And they'll come back at a next board meeting.
Move to approve with that amendment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Sir, you please call the roll.
Board Member Ocon?
Yes.
Board Member Gomez-Tagle?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Dr. Zamarripa is chomping at the bit to be able to get out the gate on this one. All right, moving on to J1, agreement between Renaissance Learning and Clifton Middle School.
Thank you, Board President Hammond. The Board of Education is requested to approve an agreement between Renaissance Learning and Clifton Middle School for a 1-year subscription to the Accelerated Reader Program. The Accelerated Reader Program motivates students to read more by offering personalized experiences tailored to their levels and interests. It improves engagement, vocabulary, background knowledge, and reading comprehension through quizzes, goal setting, and personalized recommendations.
Any questions of Dr. Zamarripa? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Quick question. This just popped into my head. I do see a school site at this location. Have we thought about the licenses, or are they all year to year in reference to the middle schools moving forward? So for instance, we are entering an agreement for 1 year for Clifton. Do we have any licenses that we would need to look for reimbursement?
Good question, but for the most part, they are year to year, and they do fall in line with a school year, so they typically end at the end of school. Right, and then with regards to this one, since you see it's not at the beginning of the school year, this is the type of license where we can communicate with them and then augment the number of licenses.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any further? Ms. Becerra, please call the roll.
Board Member Ocon?
Yes.
Board Member Gomez Tagle?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Up next is the Monrovia High School Boys Soccer Tournament Extended Field Trip. Dr. Z.
The Board of Education is requested to approve an extended field trip for the Monrovia High School boys soccer team to participate in the 2025 soccer tournament at Paso Robles High School in Paso Robles, California, from December 4th to December 6th, 2025. The MHS soccer team has been participating in the Cats and Hounds soccer tournament in Paso Robles for many years. This tournament offers quality competition early in the season within a well-organized environment. It allows our team to develop, bond, and cultivate a strong team culture through a weekend of shared experiences.
Any questions?
I'm wondering if we have two gentlemen from the team present here tonight, do we?
Shout out to the coaches.
Do you want to come up and say anything about the
Now's your chance.
team? I don't mean to
That's awesome.
derail you, but
Hi, Coach.
Press the button. Hey guys, my name is Coach Gio Danda. I'm going on, I think 11 years coaching the boys soccer team at the high school. Went to the high school. I'm lucky enough to be a PE teacher there now. And I was lucky enough to be a player who got to experience that tournament. A lot of fun, long season. That's what you remember after you graduate. And it's just a great opportunity for all the boys. So we appreciate all the support from you guys here, and hopefully you guys can catch a game this year. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
We're good?
Thank
All
you.
right, guys. First
Thank
time,
you,
guys.
Coach.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Send pictures. Get those out.
Thank you.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Becerra, please call the roll.
Board Member Ocon?
Yes.
Board Member Gomez Tagle?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Go Cats, yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Thanks for being here all night.
Thanks, guys.
Up next, we have a facility use agreement for Duarte Fitness Center pools.
The Board of Education is requested to ratify a facility use agreement with the City of Duarte effective from November 3rd, 2025 to December 30th, 2025. The purpose of this facility use agreement is to allow the Monrovia High School girls water polo team to participate and meet in the Duarte Fitness Center, specifically the pool.
Thank you. Any questions of Dr. Z? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Becerra, please call the roll.
Board Member Ocon?
Yes.
Board Member Gomez Tagle?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
You. Up next is Dr. Landis Fine, the resolution 2526 to establish a criteria for order of layoff and reemployment.
Thank you, President Hammond. The Board of Education is requested to approve Resolution 252618 to establish the criteria for order of layoff and reemployment. The Board of Education Resolution number 252618 establishes the criteria for determining the order of layoff and reemployment for certificated employees in the district who share the same first date of paid probationary service. In the event of layoffs due to reduction or discontinuance of services per Education Code 44955, employees with the same hire date are ranked using a point system that considers credentials, special authorizations, teaching experience, and advanced degrees or certifications. If a tie remains after applying the points, a lottery is used where lower numbers indicate lower seniority for that hire date. The system ensures layoffs and reemployment are handled fairly and transparently while prioritizing the needs of the district and its students.
Any questions of Dr. Landis?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Sorry, please call the roll.
Board Member Ocon?
Yes.
Board Member Gomez Tagle?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
No.
Board,
You want to say why?
Board President Hammond.
While, while this is laying the groundwork for something and the negotiation went on, and I do not like to waste anybody's time, I appreciate the effort that went into it, that created it, but I am vehemently opposed to RIF notices, and I will be voting no.
That almost didn't pass. Oops.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-2.
Up next, we have a memorandum of understanding with Monrovia Teachers Association, impacts of school consolidation.
Thank you. The Board of Education is requested to approve a memorandum of understanding with the Monrovia Teachers Association regarding the impact of school consolidation. Excuse me. This memorandum of understanding between the Monrovia School District and the Monrovia Teachers Association outlines how teachers will be affected by the consolidation of the two middle schools into one site between November 2025 and June 2027. It establishes the procedures for staffing based on seniority, ensuring that current middle school teachers receive priority for positions at the new campus. Displaced teachers are given timelines and choice options for reassignment to available vacancies. The MOU also provides compensation for packing, moving, and unpacking, along with assurances that classrooms will be properly equipped. For teachers assigned to multiple campuses, it guarantees fair prep time, travel considerations, and stipends to address extra duties.
Any questions of Dr. Landisfine?
I have some questions. I don't know actually if it would be for you or for Dr. Hart-Rodas. I just want to better understand, and I understand that this is an MOU and that it is, it's the agreement and it's the impact. But I'm trying to understand. Currently, the previous RIF that we did right-sized the district, correct? So just in regards to MTA, so not looking at CSEA, librarians, office managers, so just looking at MTA, how impacted is the MTA unit going to be by this consolidation, regardless of to which facility we consolidate? And the reason that I'm asking that is because I thought that we had already made things right. Sized.
We continue to decline, so we're going to continue having to reduce over the years if it doesn't happen by attrition. But Dr. Landisfine has more detailed data.
So this is part of a process. So once the consolidation takes place, we take a look and see which programs are needed at each school site. So in other words, which credentials are needed. And then we make a determination as to how those schools will be staffed relative to the number of students there. I understand that's probably a very vague response. The programs won't necessarily transplant immediately. So we'll take, for example, if we have 700 students there, we're going to need a certain number of English teachers. Currently, the class sizes at Santa Fe are smaller because we can't staff a quarter of a teacher or what have you to cover those things. The class sizes at Santa Fe are a little bit smaller. We would end up making full classes at the newly consolidated middle school. So that would result in reducing the number of needed staff members. Does that answer?
Yeah, and from there we make decisions, because like Dr. Landisfine had said, you can't have a quarter of a person, a quarter of an assignment, and then we have to make decisions. Do we fund a whole FTE? Do we have a person who's split between two sites? How do we round up, round down, etc.? And so in some cases this year, because of the nature of what we needed, we rounded up. As we continue to decline, we may need to round down. I know that sounds like gross arithmetic, but hope that answers the question.
It does, but it looks like we're not going to see how that manifests now. that's a down the road sort of manifestation or understanding?
I can speak to that. We're working on right now at both at the high school level to look at see what programs there are and what interests there are among the students. So Dr. Zamripa is meeting with the high school because this will also impact the obviously ongoingly staffing with secondary credentials impacts both the middle school and the high school, regardless of whether we're consolidating a middle school or not. So we're looking at what we're scheduling for the coming year at the high school right now, as well as looking what programs we have at the middle school to make sure that, you know, our signature programs, if you will, are maintained. So for example, it's critical that with the consolidation that we maintain our dual language our commitment to dual language programs, because we have a robust Spanish program that's going on at the middle school. And additionally, we have to bring in our Mandarin program so we're going to house 2 languages at a middle school, which will make us kind of unique. I don't know any other middle schools that are doing that. So that's kind of an interesting thing, but that commitment to do those kinds of things, and we have to look at very carefully as to how we're going to staff those schools.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. More discussion? Please call the roll.
Board Member Ocon?
Yes.
Board Member Gomez-Tagle?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Up next is student placement agreement between California State Chico and Monrovia Unified.
Thank you. The Board of Education is requested to ratify the student placement agreement with California State University Chico, which will enable the district to train student speech and language pathologists. This agreement will be in effect for a period of 5 years until October 31st, 2030. Chico State's Communication Sciences and Disorders MS program prepares students to enter one of the fastest growing fields in health and education. Students in this program acquire knowledge, skills, and clinical hours necessary to apply for the California State speech language pathology license. This is a lot of words. A certificate of clinical competence in speech language pathology from the American Speech Language Hearing Association and the California Speech Language Pathology Services Credential. This is a very important program. I'd just like to add that we desperately need speech and language pathologists, and being able to host them as interns will significantly increase our ability to provide services to our students with special needs.
Any questions?
How did we establish this relationship, and how can we get more of them?
So we have a student teaching relationship with them, but Chico's quite far away. These programs are there's not a necessarily closer one, but they happen to reach out with us because we have part of their program is remote, and we were fortunate to have the teacher request our area because she knows one of our speech paths. So that opened the door. They also have a BCBA program and some other things. So we informed them that we would take any and all interns for any special education credentials or service credentials that they might want to send our way. We're happy to host. Mm-hmm.
Any motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Board Member Ocon?
Yes.
Board Member Gomez-Tagle?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Up next is Dr. Hart Rodas, and it's increased, AB 1390 increase to board member salary.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Board of Education is requested to approve an increase to the board member compensation for the Monrovia Unified School District Board of Trustees from, and I apologize, there's an error in the agenda. It should read $328.09 per month to $1,200 per month pursuant to Assembly Bill 1390 effective January 1st, 2026. Assembly Bill 1390, effective January 1st, 2026, amends Education Code Section 35120 to allow boards of education to responsibly increase monthly member compensation. Current limits, unchanged for more than 40 years, have not kept pace with inflation or the expanding scope of board member responsibilities. By modernizing these thresholds, AB 1390 enables districts with the financial capacity to offer fair compensation that better reflects the time, commitment, and expertise required of trustees.
Any questions, comments?
I think it's interesting their use of the word fair compensation. Because considering the amount that we all put into this work, the increase, while much appreciated that it has been acknowledged, doesn't even come out to minimum wage. So I think that's interesting. That's just an aside. Basically, what I wanted to do was, I don't know if the board noticed my husband had come in earlier because he wanted to speak about this. And he's been very vocal about the lack of pay for the time for the past 5 years. And I just want to take the opportunity to thank him for allowing me to serve the district and our students, because we're a single income family of 4, and that's very difficult. And this will make it less difficult, but not easier, not significant. But I just wanted to acknowledge him and thank him for allowing me to serve. And I also wanted to thank you, Board President Hammond, for bringing this up at this time. It was a very difficult time to do it with so many things on the board's plate and on the district's plate. And I want to thank you for bringing it forward at this time, despite everything else that's going on. So thank you for supporting us and the things that we do and the future, so that more people have access to being able to serve and to represent. That's all.
This is such an awkward space to be in. But the legislators in Sacramento passed AB 1390, which recognized the fact that the school board rule has changed tremendously, especially over the last 5-6 years. And they approved the increase. But within this bill, it requires boards to have a local conversation about it and to make a decision. And so that's what we're doing tonight. And well, like I said, it's an awkward space to be in, to vote on whether you're going to increase your stipend. This isn't a job, it's a position. We were elected into this position. But honestly, $300 a month doesn't even cover, and it hasn't. Most of us, when we travel for our positions, don't ever ask the district to reimburse us. We just don't. We have an annual conference, CSBA, and there is travel, and the district does cover our flight and our hotel. But if we go out for meals, which we do, because it's a wonderful opportunity for us to have camaraderie and get to know each other on a different level, not discussing school board stuff, but just getting to know each other, we cover those costs. We don't ask the district to reimburse us. And I can tell you, in any given time, let's say a month's time, I am asked by students, by parents, by all kinds of local organizations to make donations. And I do what I can. But I can tell you there's a lot of out of pocket. So I'm negative $300 every month. But I did prepare something here because I want to be frank and transparent. I have seen a lot on social media recently about this. We've been called commies and all kinds of other ugly and awful things. So I want to clarify some things. There are many sacrifices of time. None of this is a surprise to those of us who choose to serve, but the role has changed in real, lasting ways. My first 2 years on the board were about learning, building context, and earning the community's trust. Then the pandemic hit. Everything changed. Since then, we've dealt with shifting county and state regulations, the retirement of a longtime superintendent, hiring a new superintendent, then the process of having interims until we hired another permanent superintendent, and all that came with. A charged political climate, budget pressures, staff and community expectations, and a dramatic increase in public engagement, both positive and negative. We've faced challenging emergencies like fires, managed bond measures, provided oversight, and handled the rise of misinformation and personal attacks on social media. The position is simply not what it was even a few years ago. There hasn't been a school board election in the last 2 cycles. Celine Lockerbie and I were unopposed our last cycle. No one ran. I don't think anybody wants this gig, including 2 incumbents who served 1 term each. We then had to move to appoint two positions. These transitions on the board and in leadership positions take time to learn not only personalities, but how to approach each other, each individual, and create synergy. I say all this because if we want to attract people who bring sound judgment, stability, and experience, and a genuine commitment to our students, compensation matters. California recognized this by passing AB 1390, the first adjustment to board stipends in more than 40 years. Now it's our responsibility to decide what that means for our board and the people who serve. One other important thing I want to mention. Celine mentioned about family. But I'll tell you, if a board member has a school-age child or 2 children, they are treated differently. The additional pressure our kids feel is something they shouldn't have to suffer through. And I can tell you firsthand, my daughter experienced that. This is why I unequivocally support raising the school board stipend to $1,200 per month for current and future school board members. Thank you.
Comment I'd like to make, and I've said this for years and years. This was never a job where a salary was expected. But it shouldn't be because you're wealthy or have means that you're able to do this job. It precludes people who have good ideas that don't happen to have the wherewithal to subsidize a $90 million a year operation, which is what Monrovia Unified School District. If you don't have the money, then it wouldn't matter how much time you have because you would not be an effective board member. And that is the sad part about it, is that there are probably some very fine people who, because of the low income, if you will, would not be able to participate in the thing that they own themselves. And it's wrong. This is a step in the right direction. It's still not right, but given the amount of time that you spend and the fact that you're going to be subsidizing, I'm just going to hold up one little thing that we have. We all have these. The school district does not pay 1 cent towards having this. Yet the school district cannot get a hold of you if you don't. So you're not able to do your job effectively if you don't provide your own tools. Very few jobs in the world that you take where you have to provide all of your own equipment. You provide all your own telephone. You provide all your own internet at home because you have to. Everything that you do to do this job is on you. And then, as Mrs. Travanti said, you're going to get requests for money every week. It's every week. And whatever you did get is just gone because you're giving it away. Families make a huge sacrifice, and when I looked at this and they finally passed this, which was great, they did it for city councils almost 18 months ago, is hopefully this will make it an opportunity that people in the community who have a heart to serve, but don't have the bank account to be able to afford it, will allow them to participate in our own self-governance experiment. And so I hope we have an election coming up in a year. Well, it won't be the five of us that's trying to decide who's going to be sitting here.
Yeah, just not to belabor the points, I want to acknowledge that I'm in agreement with my colleagues. I'm 27. I'm supposed to be broke. Everyone tells me, but this gig is much more than the 20 hours that we are formally either in meetings or attending events. You are on at all times. I used to go to the Look at least 2 times a week in my bass slippers, and now I feel like I can't even do that anymore. So just wanted to acknowledge my colleagues, particularly those that have been in this role for a long time and have done so with children. It is a really challenging role, and to the points made, our former salary was below the minimum wage. It depends how many hours you put in, but a couple of bucks an hour, frankly. So I'm looking forward to, assuming this passes, I'm looking forward to really compensating and providing an on-ramp for folks in the community who find these roles to be inaccessible to join. And to Mr. Hammond's point, we do not want to appoint, and it's one of the silent tragedies of our democracy, like just nationally. These races go either uncontested at all or through appointments. People are seated, and so I don't think this is the only strategy. It's an important one. It's not the only strategy for ensuring that folks feel engaged in our elections, but I think it goes a long way. So just wanted to publicly acknowledge my support of this motion.
Good. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I just need one.
Jinx.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got it. Any further discussion? Ms. Becerra, please call the roll.
Board Member Ocon?
Yes.
Board Member Gomez-Tagle?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie? Yes. Can you say it in the microphone?
Yeah. Oh, it's not on. Yes.
Thank you. Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Future meeting dates are December the 17th at 6:30 here in these chambers. It'll be an annual reorganizational meeting and a regular Board of Education meeting. January 21st will be a regular board meeting, and it seems weird looking at 2026 right now. And February the 11th, also here. On new business, we have a Thanksgiving break. That's on November 24 to 25. November 24 to 28. All of our sites will be closed. Our winter break will be from December 22nd through January the 2nd, and all sites will be closed. And there'll be a professional development on January 5, 6, and it's a pupil free. Any other?
Mr. President, yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Thank you. The other day, Mr. Ocon and I were able to meet with an amazing high school student who had reached out to me about several issues, and we met with her in the principal's office, and she had some great insight, lots of vision, lots of recommendations, but something came up. There were a lot of things that came up, but there's something that came up that I want to address right now, and that's the Minga app at the high school. What I recall being told Minga was going to do was create school culture or improve school culture, a lot of words, and improve it and the connectivity, et cetera, et cetera. From what we heard from this young person, it might not be doing that. It might not be doing it for everybody. And we want to catch as many as we can, right? So based on what this person, the discussion that we had with this person, and based on input that I've gotten from my own children, I have some questions. I'd like to know how effective the Minga app is. And the only way to know that is to ask the students. Could we put out a mandatory survey that asks our students, and I might need some help with the questions, I don't want it to be long. Do you use the Minga app? Do you like the Minga app? And do you feel that the Minga app
Is applicable, yeah.
something we can work on the wording maybe later. Maybe 3 questions, something like that. I'd also like it to go to the admins and Mr. Dawes, because they're people that use it also. So I'd like that to go out. When is a time that's soon but convenient to have that happen? Okay, and can you get back to us with his response and an update on Friday? And so this Friday, we'll be expecting an update on that, and then the survey will go out at whatever time that is. And then,
The survey would, for
but hang on,
clarification.
remember that thought. I would like the results to come to us, not in an update. I want the results to come to us on the dais.
So that was going to be my question. Do we want staff to compile the questions, or one of us or 2 of us are going to go through file and extract the data?
Can it be digital?
I'm assuming you want a digital survey.
Well, I would hope.
That's
I think-
1,450 pieces
I'm
of paper
thinking
otherwise.
digital, but I'm thinking not the Minga app, because
Well, yeah. That would be a little tricky.
So, but it would come in its organic form back to us.
Oh yes, unfiltered back to us.
Oh, absolutely. Like we did with the survey result, the data.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was great.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah,
Saying it's like,
unfiltered.
okay.
Yeah. Yes.
This is not why I raised my hand, but
Sorry.
just so I can circle back to me after this. I do think that this should include the staff, because I think the conversation that we had made me feel as though there's some questions as to buy-in,
Fidelity.
and
And
at
buy-in.
the staff level, if they felt it was
You're right.
effective. So
Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
So
Staff also,
Two
not just
separate
admins.
surveys and a staff survey, staff admin survey, and a student survey,
Staff, admin, student.
like adult and student.
Yeah.
I mean,
What do you think
if we feel like a survey is the most effective way to pull that info from
that's-
staff, I don't feel
just
too
wanna make
strongly
sure I
about
get
that,
clar-
but I
I wanted to know.
I don't
want
think we
clarity on
need to
what you
make
want.
it mandatory from staff. Is that what you were asking?
I'm not convinced the survey is the best way to do it. I'm not convinced it's not either. I would
How
appreciate
about
it
this?
if we
Rather
had-
than belabor everybody's time right now, would the 2 of you like to meet with me, like tomorrow, either before or after our other thing,
Sure.
to like hash
Sure.
the
that
how
would be
out?
great.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that we get this.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank
So,
you.
Okay.
And then my thing was just acknowledging that a number of folks made comments during the consolidation presentation about an interest in communicating with the city as part of this process. I spoke to Dr. Hart-Rodas about what it would look like, and I'd like to gauge my colleagues here to have a joint meeting with the city council on this issue. It might be tricky to do so prior to our decision, but if not, then at least as part of the early portions of the response that cabinet and Dr. Hart-Rodas will be organizing to our decision. So we have the January through the end of the school year where they'll be planning that. I would like for us to engage the city council more formally as part of that process, having spoken to a number of council members. So I just wanted to place that at the dais and gauge my colleagues' interests in us formally making that request of the city council.
And that was something that I brought up at a previous board meeting, and also have had discussions with Dr. Hart. So we definitely will make that happen.
Yeah, and I've already what's the word I'm looking for? I've already talked to Dylan. Preemptively, thank you. It's late. My 3 brain cells aren't talking to each other anymore. I've already preemptively spoken with Dylan about available times, and as Michael has, Board Member Ocone has alluded to, I requested to see if there was time between now and the time you need to make your decision. He doesn't feel like with their busy holiday schedule that there would be a time that they might be able to get together with you. But I will continue to ask, but he definitely felt like in January, once we come back based on what Board Member, Vice President Travanti had suggested, would be a time when they would be able to meet, because as we have discussed, a big piece of the transition piece is that community engagement around that shared collective efficacy of all of us making sure this transition is successful.
There's a special board meeting tomorrow at 1:30, room 210, over at MHS. The topic conversation will be WASC. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody next Thursday. And if there is no further business before this body, we'll stand adjourned at 10:37. I'm sorry, I'm looking up there, 10:39.